Hello, hello, hello. My name is Lewis Lee from Plan and Traffic, and this is where you're at tonight. We're live with some special guest, Arco, Outlaw Edge. He's been so busy, we haven't had him on the show, so we got him back in to talk trash. We got Ray from Motor Mouth Radio. What's up, Ray?
In the house, fellas. How's it going?
Good, good, good. So Arco's coming off a weekend of a lot of smoke and rubber burning at his car show. Arco, tell us a little bit about what went on last week or weekend.
Oh, it was nuts. It was crazy. Usually every year we have a lot of cars show up, but this year it wasn't that big of a car show. But then after Heidi counted the cars, we were like, well, there was a lot of people, a lot of cars and whatever. But this year was really cool because it seems like every year we have more and more and more people that show up from all over the place. We have people from, Paul Lyons was there. He drove all the way from Maryland. We had people from Washington, Arizona, like all over the place that show up for the show. And we don't do one of these boring ass car shows where they, don't really have nothing to do. We just kind of tell people, hey, show up, don't be an asshole, and have fun.
Yep.
Don't show up with your attitude or whatever. So, and pretty much, the cops in town and everybody in the town support us. So it's like, do whatever the hell you want, So that's what we do.
Well, you could tell them it was a repaving project because now you've actually resurfaced the road with and it was funny because just today my wife and I were driving around. We had to go to the airport, so of course we had to go into Kennedy Airport. So we had to go through the tough part of town, on the Belt Parkway, which is always nutty. And we were pointing out there was some skid marks. Obviously, somebody collided with somebody in the middle lane. The guy went to the median, hit the divider, and bounced off again. So the tire tracks bore that out. And she was asking me about that. She says, how long will that stay? I said, well, marks like that, they'll wear away fairly fast because of traffic and whatever. I said, but like in spots where guys just do burnout after burnout, and they literally dig into the pavement. I said, that's like a tattoo. That stays there for a while. I said, like Arco Street, right by where he is. I said, you got to see the video. I said, they now have a total repavement in rubber.
It cracks me up because everybody always asks, where's your shop at in Big Falls? And I'm like, just look for the black marks, man. You guys will know where it's at.
Hell yeah.
And then everybody that comes by here on the weekdays, weekends, whatever, all of a sudden we'll be sitting in the house or whatever, and we'll hear somebody out there just smoking the tires off the car, And they're like, hey, I came through, so I had to, throw down some burnouts or whatever. Hey, real quick, I want to say hi to Jim and Bill, Edge of Eternity. And what's up, Damien?
Yeah, Bill.
Good to have you guys here, man.
Yeah. What was I going to say? The thing that impressed me, and I saw this on YouTube, so anybody could go on your channel on YouTube and see this. But the cool thing was the range of cars. I mean, everything from like Model A's and maybe a couple of 30s cars to up to the 80s. You represented. They were representing everything. All different. I didn't notice any real late model stuff, which was okay by me, but it was definitely from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and you had a really cool 56 Chevy over there that's like a pro model on the street, I think.
Yeah, that thing's Jesse's car's insane.
And
but that's the thing with our car show is, when Heidi and I started the car show, we wanted to make sure that it was a builder show. If there's somebody that's working on their car like Jesse, we don't want to exclude them. We don't want to be like, hey, your car's not done, so you're not going to put it in the show, because years past, we actually had that crap happen with us with one of our cars. And we had this guy say, hey, bring your Roadster to our show. And it was over in Princeton. And I said, yeah, we'll bring it, but it's not done yet. We're still putting a couple things in it, whatever. And man, we had people razzing us and bitching and pissing and moaning and whatever. And I said, we talked about it. And I said, when we have our own car show, that's never going to happen, because it's all about the builders. And it's all about the kids, getting in there, using their hands and showing their, that's how you learn. I mean, it's somebody starts somewhere. So that's what we wanted the show to be about,
I mean, I don't know who that was that gave you flack, so I really can't speak about them. But I'll say this, the impression I get is I hear that from guys who aren't real diehard car guys.
Yep. And that's what this guy was. He was just a punk.
He didn't even have a car in the show.
Yeah.
Hey, Heidi.
Hi.
Hey, Heidi.
She's over here working.
All right.
Are you behind the curtain?
Yeah, she's working. She's like the Wizard of Oz.
I am the Wizard of Oz.
Uncle, that's the thing. Like, when you work with your hands and you make things and you build things and you fix things, you know the value isn't in the finished product. It's in the work in progress and what the person's putting in. I'd rather see a car like that any day than a finished car.
And that was
But that's me.
The Princeton show where the people who, that's the show where Rat Rod Magazine was born, that Princeton car show. And that's, they were the ones who said, hey, get here, bring your car under construction.
Yeah. I'll just bring it.
Be quiet, Brian. All right. Took care of that. I'm sorry, Heidi. Finish your thought.
Oh, it was pretty good. And actually, the one blowhard guy that was complaining about the car not being done, he kind of got told off by. We didn't have to say a word.
Good.
That's great.
But perfect example is there's so much talent out there. I mean, like, you know, and I'm not bragging, but you know, I am because he's one of my good partners right here. My brother Damien right here. He's in San Diego, California. He's a straight street gangster, but the dude, awesome guy. And earlier today, maybe an hour and a half ago or whatever, you know, he sent me some pictures of this fabrication that he did on this like Toyota Land Cruiser or whatever it is that he's building. And I'm like, you know, he's always like, you know, is this good enough? Or what do you think of this? You know, get my opinion, whatever. Damien's a badass fabricator, you know, and that's what it's about. It's about, you know, lifting your brothers up and, you know, you're your brother's keeper. I always say that. It's like, you know, and the other thing is always teaching kids. Take your talent and teach the kids, because pretty soon, you know, we're not going to be around no more, and somebody's got to be showing these guys something, man.
Right.
You know, so it's cool to see these guys come to the show and having those cars that they're building, and then the next year have it finished at your show and being like, what do you think? How did it turn out? And we had a Roger, a friend of ours from Bemidji. He actually brought this little car and was asking people, hey, if you can guess what it is. But he took a little Geo Metro convertible, and really cool car. I mean, he's what would you, like a coach builder, I guess you'd call it, or a metal fabricator?
I think he's some sort of engineer.
Yeah.
And that's his like day job.
Yeah, and he took this little Geo Metro convertible and just absolutely just went crazy on this thing and refabbed all the panels on the car. Couldn't even tell what it was, and made it like an Italian style race car almost, or something that you would see. And I mean, he had all around the tops of the doors and around the trim on the windows and everything. It was 1-inch bronze that he hand casted.
Wow.
And all the panels were completely handmade. The hood, the door sides, you know, all the door skins, the fenders, the grill. I mean, everything on the car was completely handmade, and it was badass. And I could not believe all the people that were over there asking, what is this car? What is this thing? You know, because they're interested in it. And I said, that's handmade. That dude took and made every panel on that car.
Are you going to have more videos coming out from the event? Do you have anything else that you haven't published yet?
No, I don't think so. I might put some stuff up on Instagram or whatever, but right now we're so damn busy with car shows and events that I don't know. We just got too much going on right now. So
I do have some videos that Hawken took with his camera.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure what's in there. I have not busted into that SD card yet.
Yeah, we might just do those videos and put some music to them or something and just kind of throw it up there on YouTube. You know?
I think I saw Heidi walking around with a camera. I think she had a camera in her hand, right? So she's got to have stuff. So Arco, why don't you throw out your the information, the YouTube site, the Instagram, and whatever, so people can
so my Instagram is Outlaw Edge _Bladeworks, and then my YouTube channel. One of our YouTube channels is Outlaw Edge. The other one is Iron Outlaws. And then go check out our other two channels on YouTube, and that's Iron Horse Garage and NZ Mopar Outlaw Customs. That's our channel in New Zealand. And then what's our Facebook?
MN Outlaw Customs.
MN Outlaw Customs.
Because somebody doesn't think he needs a Facebook.
I hate Facebook. I don't do that drama crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that honestly, in the social media world, I think that Facebook is a place where a lot of people would like to interact with you, but he won't. So there's that. And
well, Heidi, I find it too. And what I was told was Facebook now is for the old folks. That's where the old guys go.
Yeah.
And I do have a TikTok. I have Outlaw Edge TikTok also.
Support Russia. So I'm an old guy, but I don't like Facebook. Yes, comrade.
Hey Heidi, I'm going to be putting in an order for SEMA.
I'm ready. Mostly.
I gotta look fly. I'm gonna be rubbing shoulders with the big dogs.
Dang right. I think we're gonna be home. We're not going to SEMA this year, are we?
I don't know. I don't think so. We got so much going on right now. We got some special stuff coming up you guys will like. So we'll see what happens,
Yeah, it's quite.
Hey, I'd love to see you guys out there where we can hang out and
that would be fun.
Do some stuff. So
I would actually like to go to SEMA in a capacity where we weren't hustling so hard. Because when we were at SEMA, we were hustling for sponsors, getting our face out there, which isn't, it's not hard because he's so magnetic, Yeah. Legit. I'm just, like I said, I'm the puppet. I'm the puppet master. I'm like, let's go talk to this guy. Wait, would it be one of those marionette things? Anyways.
Yeah.
And it would be fun to go there and not have to hustle so hard. Just enjoy the experience. Not that it wasn't enjoyable.
Just walk around and hang out with people would be a badass deal, That'd be fun.
Yeah. Hey, come. Hey, I got some people to hang out with, so we'll do it.
Oh, I know you know everybody. You're like Heidi.
I did meet my BFF Glenda from she was Motor Trend Glenda. She ended up retiring right after SEMA. It was time because they were closing down all those magazines.
Yeah.
And she ended up she took her retirement. She's like, I'm doing better in retirement than I was working.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
But she'd put in her time. She'd been like 25 years with different print magazines in that family. So I was proud of her.
Damien says he's going to SEMA. I didn't know that.
What?
Damn, everybody's going.
Everybody's going. You got to be a part of the crew, man.
Man, I guess.
Yeah, but we're outlaws. We're not supposed to do what everybody else does.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm not an outlaw. I'm somebody's mother. Big difference between me and an outlaw.
Says the one that would stab you in the face,
Yeah, right. I was going to say that.
You don't want to stab people. It just doesn't do as what it should do. Anyway, yeah. I'm not that mean.
So Bill's trying to get in. I'll send him the link. Bill Cameron.
Oh my gosh, I miss him.
Come on, Bill.
I miss our bus crew.
Hey, listen, me and my wife were just talking about yesterday that it was such a blessing to have you guys come here, man. It'll never fade. You know what I mean? It's a blessing. It's just a blessing.
We had a blast, man.
Yeah. Man, I gotta do something about this lighting. This lighting sucks in here.
No, you guys don't look bad. You look all right.
He doesn't matter what he does. He looks good. I usually look like a drowned rat. Should see us when we kayak.
A drowned rat?
Oh my god! Yeah. Well, look. See, today I'm sporting the bun, the cheaper glasses. But yeah, he gets out of the kayak looking like a GQ model, and I look like the lady drugged behind his kayak. I literally cannot paddle 5 seconds without getting soaking wet. There's something wrong with me.
Oh, stop it.
But I have a good time. I don't care.
That's right. Right. So, everybody in YouTube and Facebook Live, go check out Arco's websites. His stuff is so motivating. It's motivating me to do more metal work, which I've never really got into metal work, but now I'm not scared because I can call him to come help me if I break something.
Yeah. Hey, that corner you did on the bus looks so good. You did such a good job on that.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you. I'll tell you what, man, your videos really inspire me, man. I'm not scared to really do anything, but you kind of put the foot on me. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead, do it. So I'm playing around.
That's the biggest thing is, when you're learning, just don't be scared. Get in there and do it. I mean, like, I always tell people, hey, what's the worst that can happen? You can mess it up.
Yep.
If it's metal, I always tell Heidi, metal, if you screw it up, you can always cut it, grind it, weld it, move it, bend it, whatever,
That's the key.
Arco, on let's talk a little metal work here. Okay, I want to extend the I wish I had one to show you, but I want to extend the fenders on my car. Okay, I want to put a lip on it. Should I cut and diamond that out, or should I just cut slits and roll it out? Should I add or
what part of the fender, Brian? What part of the fender are you talking? What part of the fender are you talking about?
The wheel well?
I'm talking. Oh, I want to do all four. I mean, I want to do all the way around. I want to tuck. I want to be able to tuck the wheels under.
Is it like a wide body kit type of a thing?
Well, I want to go, but I want to exaggerate and be like most fat white guys and say it's 6 inches, but 3. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you can do it. You know, cutting it and slitting it and moving it up, and then adding the piece of metal. But if it's something that you want to do, kind of almost like a wide body kit on something, or widen the wheel wells, the best way is get cold rolled 1/4 inch round rod and get that shape first. That way you have a buck, and a buck is something that you can follow. So when you shape that metal to, and then, you know, when you're done, you have something that has that round edge already. So you don't have to form that round edge, because that's, you know, like when you're doing a round edge and you're going to hammer form that round edge around something, just, you know, straight sheet metal, it's a bitch when it's, you know, it's easy if you can do it like this straight, you know, and it's a whole nother story when you're doing it like this. You know, you take that round edge and you're trying to go around something, you know. So the best way to do it to me is, you know, use round rod, shape it, do all 4 of them that way, get them where you want them, so that you're visually looking at what you want, and then build your pieces of sheet metal to go in there and weld them in.
Well, that's a lot of work, because now the other thing is, side to side, it almost doesn't matter, but on the same side, you want to have those contours match and look right.
Yeah.
So it's like doing a flame job or doing any kind of a graphic. If you want to do a mirror image, that's the hardest part, is doing it twice. Now in this case, 4 times.
Because I had originally thought of, because it's got a little bit of a taper, you know, coming out. It's got a little bit of a bump in the first place, and I thought about cutting and then diamonding it out so that I moved. It would be out further in the center, but it would still have the same taper of the shape of the wheel, you know, of the body line, I guess, or the fender.
Yeah, so that's probably the fastest way to do it, though, and the easiest way to do it is to get your shape first with that round rod and get it spot welded onto the fender. So get that area that you're going to do, get it in bare metal, and then get that round rod shaped how you want it, get it spot welded to the fender, and then stand back and look at it with tape on there. And if you can get the visual with the tape, then you'll kind of know what the visual is going to be with, you know, with the metal also.
So when you go with the round rod, you bend it out to the side of the fender, and then let's say if I want to extend it out, let's say 1.5 inches or whatever, I just tack on 1.5 inches out. I have that out, right? And then I try to. Okay.
Brian,
yeah. So just run you know, those little 1.5 inch pieces that are going to come out from the fender out to that round rod. Just make sure it's, so that when you sit that sheet metal on top of it and weld it solid, it's sitting right on it.
Right.
So you could leave that buck in there, or you could take it out when you're done. That way, you know, if you don't want to weld it to it, drop it down, put tape on it, and then put that sheet metal over the top of it. And then when you're done, you can drop that buck right out of the bottom. But if you're going to do it that way, it's better to leave that buck in there, you know, and I mean, in my opinion, and then weld that in there with your sheet metal, you know, because that's going to give you strength also.
Right. Because I watched a girl today. And she, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to really use the pie, but she slit the fender out and was able to, move it out. I don't know if because then I was thinking, well, then you use the round rod on the inside to have that finished look on the fender, like it was rolled, you know, but you're just, it's kind of, I've done that with cabinet doors, you know, when I made a cabinet door for something, I've taken round rod on the end of it, and it looked like I rounded the edge when I really didn't. I mean, it's, you know, it's a,
by the time it's all ground and cleaned and prepped, it looks like it, you know, you did a real fancy round edge on there.
How much wider are you looking to go? How much space are you looking to gain?
I don't know. I would say I don't want to make it. I don't know, inch or two. I just want enough to make it look different. I mean, I just want enough for somebody to say
something's different.
something's different.
Well, the reason, it's going to be only a few people who have that kind of an eye, I'll tell you that. But
Yeah.
the reason I say this is because on my own car, I didn't change the wheel well profile, but I found by going to 17-inch rims, I have wider tires on my car now than I could ever imagine.
Yeah, but I got a lot. I mean, the Mustang doesn't have a lot of room in it. Even
no, my A-bodies aren't known for a lot of room either, but
yeah,
I have a 245/40 on the back of that car, and it fits. Where I could only put a G60-15 back in the day. That was it.
uh-huh.
I actually fit an H78, but it was just a lot taller.
But
And
I like to puff out the front fenders a little bit, and the
Did they ever
rears
make
also.
kits for the Mustangs? Because those cars they drove them in Can-Am races. Did they ever?
Yeah, but I don't like the all the fender flare crap is
too much.
Well, yeah, it's either fiberglass or it's a plastic, and I think I want to go metal. I mean, I want to do it.
The only thing that scares me about that, I love the finished look. I love the idea. The only thing that scares me is how far back that's going to set the project from actually being on. You need rubber on the road.
Yeah, he's trying to trick us, Ray.
I know.
I'm
not falling for it. I see through all of that shit. I've done. Listen, I've made all those mistakes. I've done all that. You need rubber on the road, man.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Like I said, if I flare it, I mean, I could do it if it's running or up on the road, and then do that. That's why I was wondering about the cutting. I mean, when that chick cut, I've never seen anybody do that, where she took several cuts and moved it all out and then welded it back. And
what kind of where was she working? She wasn't in a Toyota dealership. Where was she working?
No, she's some chick out in Hawaii.
She saw it online.
Yeah, I saw it online. Okay. Yeah, it's one of those Instagram.
That seems like it wouldn't be a bad way to do it either. To cut it, like you said, pull it out and then weld in V's, right? That's what she did.
I mean, the only difference is it was a 2.4. I mean, we're talking Jap crap and we're talking old, iron metal, muscle car stuff, old Mustang. But I've always wanted. I mean, I never liked those flares that went on.
I gotcha. I think I understand what you said she did, and if anything, working with your metal is better than working with what she was working with.
Yeah.
You just need to get it done.
So let me explain
too. They get a little bit of extra room.
Let me explain to Arco what's going on here. So Brian has an old Mustang that he took apart, and it's been apart for how many years?
30 years.
30 years. So I was like, "Hey, Brian, we'll get the fellas together and we'll come down there on a weekend and try to get stuff moving so he could get it back on the road."
We started a campaign.
If we started a campaign, so we might be calling you because we got to take a ride to DC and get Brian to dig his car out. He's nervous about it.
No, I've done a lot. I mean, I've done a lot, and I've gotten a lot of stuff. I keep finding more parts. That's the scary part. I thought I had all that stuff together.
Good. More is good.
But I got the car halfway unburied. I'm actually making another trip to the storage unit with stuff. And like I said, hopefully I'll have the car out and cleaned out. That's the next thing, because all the parts are in the car. I mean, I got so much crap in the car. It's unbelievable.
Well, if you need any parts, I guarantee right next to Ray's probably got a half a Mustang sitting next to him.
It's the wrong. He doesn't have that much blue oval stuff.
No, I'm a little light on Ford parts. That's true.
Jim said we could start our own TV show.
Heck yeah, Jim.
Yeah, Junkers.
Junkers.
If we could just sell all our stuff, I'd be happy. I got thousands. We all got thousands of dollars worth of parts.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I was talking to Arco a little while ago. He has a couple El Caminos, so we were talking about it a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And so I'm thinking I'm going 100%, man. I think I'm gonna go with one.
And Arco, you had a 64, and then you had some up in the 80s, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, 66 to 80s. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna go 60s.
So
Okay.
Lewis was. I like the idea that Lewis had too. You know, most people would look at this and be like, "Oh, what the heck," you know. But he was talking about what's up. He was talking about you know, putting his motorcycle in the back of it and then modifying the back part underneath the window in the bed of the El Camino so that the wheel, or actually it would be the window too. No, Lewis.
Yeah,
So
it might fit under the window.
I don't know. The window, there's not a lot that the height of that bed, it's not that tall.
Really? Well, I might have to modify the
Might
window.
have to modify that back window somehow, you know, and just put a little slit window in that thing. Or so. Now we got to chop the top and everything else. It's going full blown Lamborghini doors. I mean, it's going everything now.
Make it like a Corvette. Make it a split window with its two windows and a wheel goes in the middle.
Yeah. When you want me there? Next week?
Hey, I'm gonna have to come to your place. The car is at your place.
Right. Got to bring it back first.
Hey, look, I'm not scared to cut something open, man. I'm trying to tell you.
That's when you find all the fun.
Hey, I'm the same way. I tell people, you know, they're like, you know, oh, that car's really rare. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a Rolls Royce, blah blah blah, whatever. And I'm like, we're cutting the top on that bitch. It's getting chopped. I don't care. I got no pride left. I'll cut up anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
So
one of my shops I went to Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. They had a guy had a back half of a 57 Chevy he was making a couch out of.
Yeah.
That was pretty interesting watching him cut that thing all up.
Me and Arco have been talking about it for a couple months, man. We're about to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dragging all the parts. I got a couple cars all set up to get ready to cut up too for that. So
I'm waiting on Arco to send me the pattern so I can make the seat. I'm ready, baby.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you.
yeah, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, that was pretty neat walking in, and I was like, "What in the world are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, we're making a couch." And I said, "You know, you could buy those." And he said, "It takes all the fun out of it."
Right.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money. Some of those seats are big money.
Oh yeah. Very true.
So they were. He goes, "The guy wants to pay me."
Well, it's like everything else. The ones that you buy that Lewis, you've seen, I've seen them too for a lot of money. You know, people are just playing off other people's nostalgia. You know, it's like, hey, it's old. You want it, so you're going to have to pay. Not that it's hard or that it took them longer than doing something else. Just, you know.
There's a dealership here locally. He owns exotic, or not exotic, but he owns real high-end, older muscle cars and stuff. And his desk, I want to say it's I forget what it was. It might be a Mustang. Yeah. The whole hood and everything, like that's his desk.
Yeah.
I think it was a Mustang.
There was a show on TV, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. The guys were out in California and they would get salvaged airplane parts. They'd take wings, and they made like an executive desk out of a wing of a jet. You know, they make smaller desks out of other pieces, and they kept all the buttressing and, I mean, everything from like World War II stuff up to current passenger liners. It was a great show because they were always, you know, showing the guy in the shop and how he was, you know, what his vision was. And they made chairs and the whole bit. And, you know, some of that stuff went for big money.
Have you guys seen online? It's been on there, man, probably in 2000 I've seen this. It's been online for a while. But this guy has this old, like 64 Chevy van. And it's the whole back. And he's got it mounted on it's only maybe a foot deep. And it's mounted on his shop wall. It's all pinstriped out, and he opens it up, and the doors, all of his tools are hung on the insides of the doors and everything.
Oh, sweet!
All tricked out.
I haven't seen.
Well, a while back, I got this estate sale up in Bawavik, a little town, probably three hours away, and I brought some stuff home, and I told Heidi, I'm like, I'm going to use this in the shop. I want to build a toolbox out of it. And she's like, the hell you are! I brought home 2 caskets. One of them is a full size, casket. And the other one's like an infant casket. And I was going to use that one for a toolbox. And she threw a fit. I'm like, man, oh, man. I'm like, they're brand new. It's not like they had bodies in them yet, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, it's work. It's where old tools go to die.
Fix that.
I tell you, people love that stuff.
You know?
Yeah.
Especially if somebody has.
Maybe I'll take that casket and I'll stand it up and make it where, you know, when we cut the door in the new body shop to walk into the body shop, I'll make that
walk through it.
You got to walk through the casket, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty trick.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that with, I had an old refrigerator that I held on to forever. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to cut the refrigerator so that, and going into the next room, you had to open the refrigerator up to walk through.
That's cool.
That's sweet.
It was one of those. It was one of those old rounded ones, you know, the old I don't know, 56,
like a Frigidaire.
Yeah, an old Frigidaire.
In my old shop in California, when I'd bring my Harley home at night, I hated leaving it in the shop because of the grinding dust or doing body work. It would always get dusty and crappy. So I backed up this vintage shipping container. It was only like a 20-footer, and I had it inside my shop, maybe 8-inch or whatever, and then the doors, you know how they open on them like this.
Yeah.
And I had it set up so you could ride the Harley inside and then close it up, and it was all insulated and airtight, and it had fans in there and stuff. It was pretty trick.
Nice. Man, those shipping containers are getting expensive now. The 20-footers are $2,000, $2,500.
Oh, there's $7,000 here right now, bro.
All right.
The 40-footers,
That's crazy. They used to give those things away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I remember 2 years
we
ago.
Bought one like 2 years ago, and it was cheap,
Yeah, I was looking at them about 2 years ago. I was going to build a house, make a shipping container house.
Yeah.
And that's how I got hooked onto the bus stuff, because the bus popped up because I was doing research. But they were $2,000 for the 40-footers.
Yep.
You can't touch them now.
Yeah, that all the metal and lumber and everything spiked, and now you walk into Home Depot and it's like you can't even afford to, buy a 2x4. It's like, holy crap! You see that thing, that meme where it's got that guy with the splinter in his finger, and he's he's like trying to walk out of Home Depot with $2,000 of lumber.
Yeah, crazy. I'm doing a lot of repurposing on stuff. I'm gonna do like my ceiling in the bus. I'm gonna use the fence, the privacy fence slots. I'm gonna run them through my planer, and they're going on the ceiling.
Yeah, that'll look badass though. I like that.
Yeah,
I love it when stuff is made out of something that you would never expect.
Right.
Yep.
That's why in Rogue, you see how I did the dashboard. That was Heidi's idea actually, and I have the grill from a 48 Studebaker as my dashboard. And it's cool because it looks like a Studebaker coming at you when you're driving the car, when you're sitting inside the car.
That's
so you got a 48 Studebaker just right in your face.
Looking at you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty trick.
That's like my ceiling fan air cleaner that I made and then found out I couldn't close the hood.
Yeah.
So that sits under my workbench. Oh, well.
Yeah, the toolboxes, we either get, it's hardwood. It's either oak or
the containers,
ash. Is it ash? But I used to keep the pallets outside, and one day I had caught some dude pulling up in there. He was taking a look at them, and because they're 7 feet long. They're like 7 feet long, 2.5 inches thick, and 6 inches wide. I mean, they're heavy duty pallets. And the guy's like, what do you want? I was looking at these pallets, and I said, yeah, you keep on moving. So then I had to start putting them in the backyard.
Yeah.
Because I knew
some of the stuff they're making out of those pallets are cool. They're making like tables and wine holders and all kinds of crap, cabinets and everything else. So
I took a handful of them and ran them through the planer, and that's what's in the attic for the floor.
Oh, cool.
Right on.
And it's hard. I mean, like I said, I've got enough. I've made benches out of butcher's block.
Yeah.
I've planed them down, cut them up, and put them together.
I did a whole wall in my house.
Wood.
Oh, that's tight. Is that out of pallets?
Very nice.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Man, that's sweet.
Now what I did is I bought the pallets. I bought the wood that's never been put together yet. No nail holes.
Oh yeah.
And I also made a barn door out of it too. Same room.
Really nice.
See, that's the cool part, Lewis, is like when you go to do this bus, I mean, your talents, you're an artist, man. You'll be able to use all that stuff that you have laying around and see it as something else.
In 30 seconds.
What is that?
What the hell was that?
Something's gonna blow up in
30 seconds.
Well, it ain't me because I'm the black guy. I can go longer than 30 seconds.
There you go.
What did it say?
I think it said it's going to time out in 30 seconds or blow up in 30 seconds. I don't know.
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna get some more of those. If I can find the guy, he was on Facebook locally, and they were $1 a board. I mean, it's worth not taking those pallets apart because them things are a monster to get apart.
Yeah. Yeah, that hardwood, the nails in those, man, it's hard to get the nails out and everything, you know?
Yeah, they don't use nails. The older ones I had were nails, but they use these they're twisted spikes with they use like a big staple gun or an air thing, and they're a bitch to get apart now.
Yeah.
It takes me quite a while to get them because I break them all up, and I put the by size. I have them underneath my deck.
I made a pallet buster. Hold on, let me show you.
I just use a big ass fucking hammer.
Bill from Edge of Eternity, he was saying my technology is broken. So next time, brother, it's all right. It's either blow up or the black guy.
All right, so here's my pallet buster.
Wow, what the hell?
So what you do is, wait a minute. So you stick this in the pallet and you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this. Wait a minute, I'm knocking my lights off. So you put the V in between the pallet part, like the run, and you pry it up, and it works pretty good, but you're still breaking your back.
Oh yeah.
I bet you don't have one of those sitting next to you, Ray.
No, I do not.
You have everything else.
A lot of stuff, but not one of those.
Like I said, I just use a big ass hammer.
Yeah.
Actually, the best part is like if they get really wet and you catch them right when they're kind of drying, everything kind of swells and expands a little bit. Then they come apart. But if they've been sitting out in the sun and they all dry out, dude, they're tighter than you won't believe, dude.
That's a trip because like when they cut the trees here in the wintertime or in the summertime, and then they'll freeze and all that moisture is just ready to explode when it's like 40 below zero. And you go out there with an axe and just hit a log, it literally explodes. Like just splits super easy. I mean, you just tap it and it just pops open, you know? It's a trip.
That's cool.
I mean, it's not like it gets that cold here anyways, you know what I mean?
No, of course not.
You can keep that cold.
It ain't that bad. You just gotta dress for it.
Yep. I actually enjoy it. I don't miss the heat. I know that. It's been hotter than piss lately.
Yeah, yeah.
Is it hot over there where you guys are all at?
Yeah.
It's been in the 80s.
Yeah.
It ain't too bad.
We finally cooled down a little bit. It wasn't that bad.
I stay in the air conditioner all day, you know. I'm kind of bougie.
Yeah. Driving around on the bus, yelling at people.
Yeah, I get off the bus and be like, man, it's hot out here.
Yep. It's nice with that insulation in my shop though, because it's like, you know, as long as I don't open the big roll-up door, it feels like the AC's on in there because people come in there all the time and they're like, wow, you got the AC on in here? And I'm like, yep. And it's just because of the insulation. It's got that foam spray foam insulation, you know?
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm going to do on the bus.
Yeah, that stuff is amazing, man. It stays nice and cool in there. And then in the wintertime, it stays nice and warm in there, you know, vice versa. So
keeps the moisture out too, right? The barrier. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because that building used to sweat so bad. You'd be in there working, and anywhere there was metal or anything, it'd just be dripping on you, you know, because it would sweat real bad. Vino Rat Rod, what's up? Good to have you here, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna spray foam it myself, I think. But man, the kits went up double the price.
Yeah, we were just talking to Paco about that the other day. It's like, man, because he was asking me if I could do my body shop by myself, and I'm like, after we checked into the prices, I'm like, it's like 500 and something bucks, almost $600 a kit.
Yeah.
And then we sat down and figured it out. We need like 8 kits to do that body shop. So it's like, no way.
Wow.
Yeah. I need 2 kits for the bus.
It's a Harley.
Kendall?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need 2 kits for the bus, so I'm not looking forward to it.
Yep.
Are you doing the floor?
I'm putting 2-inch foam board insulation on the floor.
Yeah.
So I have 2 inches on the floor plus the 3/4 inch plywood on top of that. Then I'll do my cut, whatever floor we put on, laminate floor. So we
I say it every year, and I wish I would just go ahead and do it, but I want to spray the bottom of the tool truck because, man, when it gets cold, when that metal gets cold, dude, you ain't warming. I don't care how long you run the heat, and you ain't warming it up if you don't start early enough.
Yeah.
When all that metal gets cold, it takes forever.
And what state are you in?
Huh?
What state are you in?
Maryland.
Yeah, so it gets cold there too, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically 6 to 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? We have 6 to 8 weeks of super hot weather, 6 to 8 weeks of super cold weather, and then and then usually it's pretty nice, but it's just that time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm putting in the floor.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
And you can run that all between those strips, can't you?
On the floor is no strips; it's just all open.
So you're gonna put that down and then put something over the top of it?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that down, then 3/4 inch plywood on top of that,
Yep.
and then my laminate floor. Or what do you call it? Vinyl flooring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So you're not going to put that under the bus. You're going to put that on top of the floor that's on the bus.
Top of the floor, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's good because it'll give you a little bit of a cushioning effect too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep. Some guys put 4 inches.
Wow.
Like some
Wow,
of the
that's
guys.
crazy.
Yeah, some of the guys that are building these buses, they put 4 inches in.
Plus,
That's losing a lot of space, man.
It's got to be good for sound insulation too.
So the other day, we were trying to find you a school bus a while back, and Heidi and I the other day, we drive by this shop like all the time,
Constantly.
Headed up to the Canadian border to International Falls. And the other day they had like a garage sale or whatever, and they had this school bus pulled out for sale. It was beautiful. I was like, man, if we had that for Lewis, he would have been tickled.
It was a diesel pusher with handicap access.
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
It would have been your perfect bus.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't know it was there.
Yeah, it was inside that shop, so nobody knew it was even there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Bill Cameron just said, I hit 249 subs tonight. Do I hear 250? Come on. Somebody sub Bill Cameron, Edge of Eternity on YouTube.
Yeah, go check him out. And by the way, sub on me too. If you're in YouTube, you better hit that that subscription and bell, please. Brother trying to come up. Yeah, go check out Bill, man. He's putting out some motivational videos. Good guy. Where you at, Bill? You're supposed to be on the screen with us.
Yeah, he was saying he was having some technical difficulties. I think it's just him.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can.
So why don't you buy that bus, man? We'll come out there and help you build it.
That is kind of...
Cut the roof off and lower it. You want to lower yours though.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you
we're
know what,
trying to figure out which Harley's driving by.
I had a question earlier.
In a town of 200, you can figure out who's driving what.
I had a guy, let's see, wait a minute. A guy reached out to me earlier. He had a question about his Honda. Let's see.
Was it in regard to tires?
No.
Thought hence the topic for tonight that we're not talking about.
Remember when we tried to get Lewis to chop the bus instead of raise it?
Remember that time?
Yeah, my head would be sticking out the sunroof.
Lower the floor.
All right, this guy has a 95 Accord, and it runs fine until the morning. When he goes to start it in the morning, he has it has a lot of problems in the morning.
It's the fifth injector, the cold start valve.
A 95?
Yeah, 95
on his Bosch
Accord.
L-Jetronic. I'm just having a flashback that I figured I knew Brian would understand.
Yeah, it only happens in the morning though.
Well, it's something with cold start, obviously. Could be,
Yeah.
you got to look at the parameters.
EGR valve.
Well, yeah, it doesn't really come into
Could
effect.
be one slightly stuck open.
Possible. Yeah.
He's just being a smart ass.
No, I'm actually not, because Leah the Kia has this problem that she sounds like crap all the time, and they said it was
Leah
EGR.
what?
Leah the Kia.
Leah
The Kia.
Yeah,
It's a Kia what?
a Kia Forte.
Wow.
Her name is Leah. You talk sweet to her.
Yeah.
But
I
it
bet.
She
Sounds
took
a
out
little
a bear this
He
summer.
sounds a little exotic. You're getting so do we have a contact number for her?
I don't know, but she did.
Yes.
Have
Canberra address 3C5D FF386594G.
All right. Well, here's the man. He's gonna tell you the right.
Hey guys,
problem.
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a 95 Accord, and basically back in July it stalled out around the corner on my wife. It ended up being the fuel pump. Changed the fuel pump, got it running. It ran for about a week. It stalled out on her on the freeway, which was the worst. We got it home. I ended up having to, after going through checking the pressure and stuff, the pressure was there, but then it was dropping real fast. So I dropped the tank, and the intake hose that goes from the fuel pump to the hard line, it had come loose. So I had redone that, and it had ran fine again for about another week or two. And at first it was, when she would go to work in the morning is when it would stall out. And I'd ask her if there were any symptoms, what the gauges were telling her. And of course, her focus is on getting to work, so she wasn't able to give me too much information. One of the other things that it had started doing is the tachometer was acting kind of wonky. It would work, and then it wouldn't work. And when I went on some forums and looked, it was saying that the igniter and the
distributor,
the igniter and the distributor, and then the coil could cause that. So I went ahead and changed the whole distributor and changed the coil. And so, and every time I did work on it and test drove it, I drove it around the neighborhood. I drove it all over the place. And it seemed to only happen in the morning. I mean, I try to drive slow and figure, she's being a female, she's going to drive a little more conservative than a crazy male. And so I went from driving the hell out of it to driving it real easy. I had her drive me around to see her driving style. And there was a night I had to go all the way across town to deliver some paperwork. I went and got it, drove it across town, didn't have a problem, drove through a monsoon shower and everything. No problem. Got home the next morning. I had to coach in the morning. I headed to practice, and it stalled out at the light. But the thing is, when it stalled, and see, the whole time I couldn't get it to stall on me. It was only stalling on her. And when it stalled out on me, I'm sitting at the light, and I didn't even realize it stalled. There was no stuttering. There was no like a misfire or anything like that. It was running smooth, and it died smooth.
But it starts right
back up. It starts right back up.
Not after it stalls. It takes a few hours. Like, we've had it towed home, and a couple of times it died in the within about a quarter of a mile. And it's still somewhat in the neighborhood. And I've gotten one of my sons to come over and push him home. And then about an hour or two later, it'll start. The same thing as when we've had to tow it home. We'd get it home, and I'd start checking it, and it would fire up.
Yeah. Well, it definitely sounds like heat. I mean, electronically, something heating up, causing a bad contact. And that could be something in the ECU and the computer itself. It could be a really screwed up fusible link type thing where you get some heat and then it would go like in a fuse box type thing where you're losing some kind of power. You're going to have to determine. Now, see, you kind of determine that it's like fuel related as you're losing fuel pressure, causing it to go. That is if you the fuel pump is inside the tank, correct?
Yeah.
And if you take off you took out the rear seat and it had an access panel to that.
I wished it did. This setup's real weird because when it first went out, I was like, oh, there's an access panel right behind the seat. I'm like, this is easy. Well, on this car, it's got a sending unit for the float and then a separate sending unit for the pump. And the one for the pump is not got an access door. So you got to drop the whole tank.
Check this out. Does this car have, do you know if it has that reset button for the fuel pump? So if you get rear-ended, it's got a safety reset on it where you can push that button and start the car back up?
Yeah, what was that called? The
Crash.
It was some kind of anti-crash. Fords were that was real common on Fords.
Yeah, but he's talking, this is a Honda Accord, right?
Yeah, it's a Honda Accord.
So check this out. We did one, this was years ago, but it was, I remember a dude having a problem with that switch malfunctioning. And I think it was on an Accord, if I remember correctly. And we ended up finding that it was heating up. And it wasn't the switch; it was something in front of that switch. Like Brian was saying, it was like a fuse or something right before that switch. And then what would happen is the car would die, and it would take like a couple hours for it to start. But if you hit that switch, it would start right up. Yeah. So I mean, that's one thing to check right there too. I mean, because if it is fuel related, that's kind of the same situation, you know.
Yep.
That's what.
I was just wondering, like, if you hooked a test light up or a light on that so that you could see if you were actually losing power going to the fuel pump, causing it to cut out type thing.
How many miles are on this car?
Huh?
How many miles are on this car?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I want to say it's about, I think 210,000.
The other problem, the way I see it, it's a 95, so that's a problem because it's not OBD2. I want to put a scanner on this thing and look at scan data.
That's exactly.
You know, that's what I would want to do because I think that's where you're going to find your best clues.
I was kind of leaning toward, after all this, I was kind of leaning towards the ECM, especially because after the other fixes for the TAC, the next thing in line would be it goes through the ECM before it goes up to the gauge on the TAC. And that still kind of inconsistently has acted up. Now it hasn't now the one thing is it hasn't acted up every time that it's stalled out.
That
was a real common. The igniters were real common on that. That was a common. That's and people throw it. You throw the whole distributor in. I hate to go there, but we've all talked about even a new part doesn't mean it's a good part.
Yeah.
What does new mean?
Well, new, never ever used. So
never ever worked?
You could have never ever worked. So you could technically put a kind of a bad part in and kind of be chasing yourself around, chasing your tail. And the only other thing that with that that age of a vehicle, unless you got some kind of something in the wiring with too much resistance, and when things heat up, you're losing a signal someplace or losing I'm trying to think. I can't remember if that's a if it has a reference or a reference sensor on the crank or the flywheel.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
I didn't see one on either. I just did the so back in, gosh, I want to say it was like March or something like that. Just before the summer, I did I changed the clutch, pressure plate, everything. There were no sensors back there. And then I did the timing belt in June, and there wasn't a sensor on the crank. I think the 97s have that.
Is that
sensor.
when I can't, like I said, I'm trying to think, because like I said, usually, like I said, igniter is such a huge problem, especially with that kind of age and mileage. Igniters and
let me throw out my favorite wild card for a car that age with that kind of mileage and just wear and tear. Go over the grounds, every ground you can find. Take it apart, dress it, put it back. Because one bad ground, I've had 2 or 3 problems in the last couple of weeks that came down to bad grounds, and we wanted to make a T-shirt from the show, like, what part of a bad ground don't you understand? Because a lot of guys in shops, they overlook that. They don't think that, oh no, it looks good. Yeah, it looks good until you take it apart.
Right.
Can I ask the girl question?
Throw that out there.
All right, so you're saying that it only happens when it's cold?
Only in the morning, and it's not necessarily cold because every time.
Is the car cold or the temperature cold?
I'm in Arizona, so the temperature's never really cold, especially this time of year.
So that's something to keep in mind too.
Well, usually when it happens, it's on the warming up cycle, because it usually happens within about a mile, quarter of a mile to a mile from our house.
Okay, so if it's like a vacuum leak, when things get warm, they expand, right? So if there's some sort of like a pinhole vacuum leak and it's sucking in some cold air, would that cause that to do that?
Then you'd be getting evap codes. You'd be getting.
Well, I would think so, but if it's a 95, would it do that?
It would act the same. You wouldn't get the code. It would act the
But
same.
is it even spitting out any codes though at all?
No. I even I even hooked up to get it to see if it would blink, even though the check engine light wasn't on, and it wasn't giving anything. It wasn't spitting out anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. But like I said, I mean, it's not running rough, or it doesn't act up. It just runs and goes. Because another like Ford's had a common problem with the electrical switch for the EGR valve, and it would hang open, and then you would have cold start or cold running issues and so forth. Because it's basically, like you said, a vacuum leak in that.
And that's exactly what Heidi was just saying with her Leah, the Kia. Leah. Now I'm calling the stupid thing Leah. The Kia that we drive, or that she drives, same thing. They were saying it was a common problem with the EGR.
Well, they were saying it's EGR valve, and then I was like, wait a minute. So I called my friendly neighborhood CarQuest, and I said, wait a minute, guys, does my car even have an EGR valve? And they said no. You know what we found out it is? If you don't change the oil promptly at 3,000 miles, it stalls when you slow down.
Yeah.
It stalls out, starts right back up, but it stalls out. So we literally have to stay on every oil change, and then it doesn't do it. So, I mean, I have looked up everything.
It's an oversensitive switch.
Her name is Leah. She's PMSing. My trucks don't do that.
Like Ray said, I mean, grounds,
yeah.
I would check those first, man.
Has the car always been an Arizona car?
As far as I know, it has.
So you wouldn't be dealing with rust.
And like I said, you're really kind of back to something computerized. If you have a if you have a check for temperature wise, like an infrared gun, you'll see something overly hot or heated up.
Right.
Crappy.
Hey, I got another dumb question too. Like, and don't take this the wrong way. So I don't want your wife calling me in the middle of the night saying she's gonna gut me or something. But ladies do this all the time. How many keys? I know this sounds really stupid, but how many keys are on the ignition switch on your keychain?
There's quite a few.
Yeah.
And I did see the video where it showed the jiggling and trying to get it to stall. I couldn't get it to stall doing that. That's the one thing I didn't do is I started to work on taking apart the plastic cover there to start wiggling on wires. Because when I've tried to get it to act up on me, I've had it run and had the hood up, start wiggling the harness wires, you know, where the injectors are and everywhere else. That's the only one that I didn't get to, other than doing the key jiggle thing with it on and with it in the ignition.
You could actually just take the key off and not, you know, so that it would just eliminate all that drag.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I had that happen to 2 different Chevy vehicles with that ignition. And one of them left me at 11:30 at night on Highway 6, which is in a desolate area, which was
not cool.
Pre-cell phones with a kid on oxygen. It was a great experience. Not really. Anyhow,
what about like not to interrupt, but like your plugins?
Yeah, just go through everything.
When you pull your plugins apart, do you have any like corrosion or any white or anything like that, or you know, anything where you could tell something's funny or burnt or anything like, you know, in the harness itself?
I didn't see anything as I was changing. I was looking. The only one spot that I did see it is when I changed the distributor, and on there's 2 plugins off of the distributor, and one of them had what looked like a little bit of black.
We're gonna be covered with rubber.
But I didn't see anything else anywhere else. I pulled on those wires a little bit and moved them around a little bit.
So when you put your pickup in your distributor, did you put that gel or that dielectric compound on there?
Dielectric grease,
Okay.
Yeah, the dielectric grease,
yeah. Because I've seen guys do that before and have problems where it's, you know, goes out and then the car dies and then
overheat, and then the component will fail again. But
because of without the grease or because of the grease?
Yep, without the grease.
Without the grease, it'll fail. It'll heat up.
The grease actually conducts the heat between the device and the ground plate. And again, that word ground, it's it doesn't rely on mechanical ground. It relies on, and that's typical in electronics. You always put dielectric grease between like a transistor and a heat sink or an active component and its mount. It just helps conduct that flow of heat away from the component.
Well, and like the ground thing, like you were talking about, I know what you mean as far as you can have a ground that you don't even realize is gone. I have a 73 Porsche 914, and when I drive it and it would be hot, it would start with a slow start, almost like the battery was going dead. And I started looking around, and I got underneath it one day, and I could see the ends on each end of the ground strap, but it was split. I put a new ground strap on it. I haven't had a problem since. With that car.
Now going back to the Honda on that, there should be in one of the cooling and one of the cooling passages, you know, like where the cooling the upper hose into the thermostat housing, there should be 2 different switches. One would be a coolant temperature switch, and then one of them should be like a switch for the fan, or but make sure that you're not leaking coolant on them, or coolant's leaking out of them, like you get that green crusty or white crusty stuff around because of the color. But you know, you might again you should be able to Google this, and you know, you should have something like it should tell you how many ohms that would be. Maybe for whatever reason you're having with that heat up part, with the warming up cycle part, it's definitely something temperature related, and it's losing some information. It's either losing information or your something's dropping off, causing it to not know what to do to cut off.
You know, Brian, I was thinking that when you mentioned temperature before, but usually it's the other way. It's like a temp switch, a coolant temp switch that doesn't react, so it keeps telling the ECU that the engine is cold. So
right.
It feeds it more fuel and you have a rich condition. That's the typical problem with cold. Usually, like I'm thinking this would be going the other way for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, that's why, like I said, if you had a scanner that you could plug into it,
right,
and you go on a scanner and you see something that automatically reads minus 144, that's a dead switch. I mean, that's a dead sensor. That sensor is saying that it's 144 degrees below zero, and it's going to dump on your German car. It would just dump raw fuel and it won't start. You know, you would smell gasoline type thing. But I'm just thinking, I don't know. Again, I would have to really think more into my memory banks. But
this car does have a distributor cap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you changed that distributor cap and plug wires and all that?
Yeah, that's all new.
Okay.
Because like I said,
I've seen them where they have the little micro hairline cracks in the distributor cap, and then when they heat up, you know, or get warm, like when somebody starts
not
them
having
up,
any kind of miss. That usually, and that's part of the ignition. You'll have a miss. You know, another common problems on those cars were like the seal for the valve cover would leak, and you would fill up oil where the spark plug is, and it would have all kinds of problems. But usually the car ran like shit. You know, you would have a miss.
Yeah, I just changed. I just changed all that too.
Yeah,
in the midst of all this going on, I changed all those.
I'm kind of leaning back to either a funky ground problem or you have an ECM issue, and it's really too bad that car is now. You know, how old is that thing? It's too bad you can't find another one laying around to try the ECM out of it.
Yeah,
well, because none of that stuff is coded like today.
Well, and I actually live there, like where I live, right around the corner. There's a couple of junkyards. There's a pick and pull or a pull and save or whatever. And I went in there looking, and I found a couple Hondas, but they're all 96 or 97 OBD2.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you know, I just need that right one to go in there so I can save money and put it in and test it instead of spending the $300 or $400 or whatever it is.
Well, you can always benefit from our leadership and trade it in on an electric car and get your $7,000 tax credit.
That ain't happening.
I know. I just had to throw that in, guys. I got a smile from all of you, so at least you're listening to me. You know.
Could you imagine the electric nightmare one of those cars would have?
Yeah, but you're paying for the warranty. You're all right. Don't worry.
Well,
warranty.
Well, I hope we gave you some ideas, or these guys, because I didn't say anything, but hopefully they gave you a couple ideas that might help.
Oh yeah, definitely give me some direction. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys, everybody that comes on. I mean, I really appreciate it. I've been watching you guys for a couple years now, and you know, I had messaged Lewis that, gosh, it's probably been a few months or so, but I'd said during the pandemic and everything, during the shutdowns, I was doing housework, you know, projects around the house, doing putting up drywall and stuff, and I just connect on my phone, put my earbuds in, and you guys kept me from flipping out on all this stuff.
Nice.
You know, I got to say, Lewis, and you'll back me up on this. It's the same thing I say on the radio show all the time when I get a call like this. It's like, hey, you've been listening for years, so where the hell you been, man? You're supposed to come in and like share the love with the boys, you know? It's like, be a part of it. That's what we're here for.
See, I think people don't realize that we're a backyard guys. You know what I mean? Come on in. Tell all your friends to come. We'll all hang out. We'll answer questions. We learn from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is an open platform here, baby.
Yep.
Oh, like I said, I totally enjoy it. I even usually stay on till the after show You know,
Oh, really?
listen to you guys. Oh, I listen to it all, and
you know all our secrets.
oh yeah, no, I've gotten hooked on it, and
What's
you know,
Brian's favorite sandwich?
oh, you know, you guys talk about sandwiches so much, and I couldn't tell you now. Now,
There's
Ray,
many.
I know you like rye bread.
Oh, that's right. I do. I love rye bread.
That I remember. In fact, you guys were talking about it not too long ago. But
Correct.
yeah, no, and there's times like I'll get home. I coach in the afternoons, the evenings, and I'll get home and I've got to make my wife and my daughter dinner or whatnot. I'll put the earbuds in and I'll start cooking. I just listen away. And a lot of times while I'm cooking, it's the after show because I'm on Arizona time, so you know I'm if I don't get to catch it early enough, I'm catching the after show and or towards right before the after show and I just have a blast listening to you guys. You know,
I'm so glad
What's your name, bro?
that. Because
my name's Isaac.
Isaac, not to interrupt, but so Bill Cameron just chimed in on my phone. He texted me, and he was saying, "What about the gas cap? Have you changed that?"
Oh yeah,
that I haven't changed, but I will. At least I don't remember how long ago it is. I now in our state, when you go through emissions, they check the gas cap, and they actually have a deal where if it's not reading right, they actually give you one.
Oh, yeah.
I think they did it a couple years ago. I do know that one of the last times I fully filled up, when I opened up, it had the suction.
Yep.
But
see that right there, that's kind of a good point because you know you're going to get in the car in the morning and then you know in the heat of the sun in the summertime, if you have a vent that's plugged and it's swelling up that gas tank, that's almost like a safety deal. So you'll go to drive the car and then pretty soon it'll die.
Except for it dies when it's cold.
Well, that's why when you did the fuel pump, when you had the fuel pump, did you really look inside the tank?
So the original tank, when I dropped it, there was some rust. I changed the fuel filter and whatnot. When it started acting up again, I dropped it again, and it had gotten worse in there. I went up to the junkyard around the corner, and there was an Acura there. I think it was a 96, and I Googled it and researched and cross-referenced the part number for a new fuel tank. And so I pulled that fuel tank, and while I was there, there was the 96 Accord. I pulled the rollover vent valve. Yeah. And then there was another valve. Now there was no switch to the rollover valve that sits on the tank or in the tank. I changed all that. But the Acura tank was almost like in brand new condition. I mean, it inside and the outside, there wasn't really any dust or anything on it. I changed all that. And at that point, again, I went ahead and changed another fuel filter. And then I took my air compressor and I blew out the fuel line.
Oh, okay.
And
well, the one reason why I say that, because I had my aunt had, it was a Ford. I don't know what model it was, but she was very religious in putting gas additive in the tank of her car. And the problem that she developed was she would drive it for about 15, 20 minutes and the car would cut out. And then you had to let it sit for about an hour and a half. It would start up and run. And it ran, but sometimes it would cut right back out or it would run for the day and then have the problem. Well, what it turned out was, that little plastic, the little cardboard end that goes on the end of the fuel additive, that you're supposed to peel off.
For the cap, yeah.
Well, she was peeling it back, pouring it, and it was falling into the gas tank. So what would happen, it would all float around, and then as the car is running, it would suck down and shut the gas off to the car. And then, of course, the car would stall out, and it would take time for it to float away, and then the car would start back up again. So I just didn't know if you had – usually, though, but once this problem happens, though, it doesn't reoccur again, right? I mean, it's just usually that first initial startup in the morning for that first time.
So, yeah. So usually, like I said, as soon as I get it home, sometimes it's within an hour or whatever. The couple of times it's been within a few hours, but that's because we're sitting waiting for a tow truck. But usually within that first couple hours, I turn around and I'll, go to work on it, or within the first 30 minutes I get it home, like when I had to push it home, and it'll fire right up. Right. I'll pop the hood, I'll start, and I'm like, wait a minute, before I mess with anything, let me try and check to see if and it fires right up. And I'm like, I can't, if I can't get it to stall, or if it just starts right up, it kind of.
So then after that moment, then it's fine for the use of that, or is this a repeative cycle?
So yeah, it's fine. And then so then after that moment, I could drive it, and then I've even sat there and left it running for about 10-15 minutes, hood up, hood down, sitting on my porch, going inside, coming back out, and
it seems to be running okay.
It just keeps running, and it runs smooth. It no, like I said, no stumble, no miss. I in fact, one of the days I had my daughter follow me, and we went up by where the junkyards are, and I was zipping back and forth down that street, just changing every which way I could drive. I was hitting every bump, every pothole I could find.
You gave the car 3 alignments in one day.
Yeah, pretty much. I was trying to do anything and everything to get it to act up and be in control of it acting up, so to speak. And I couldn't, and then the next day go to drive it and repeat, wash, repeat, rinse, or whatever,
Never fails,
man. That's crazy.
Well, the worst part too is on those days I've told my wife, hey, I think I got it fixed, we're good, take it to work, you're fine. And then she's calling me,
last words.
She's calling me 10 minutes after she leaves, and you got to come get me. And
you're sleeping on the couch.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, how are you? You didn't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's frustrating, man, when you have a problem like that just keeps going on, and you can't figure it out. You're just getting pissed. But at the same time, it's kind of fascinating, because it's like, I'm going to figure out what the hell this is doing, So when I was in high school, my very first, I was like 14, 15 years old. My very first motorcycle I got, this guy had in his old laundry room, covered in that lint from being in a laundry room. He had an old vintage 66 Triumph Bonneville chopper. We pulled it out of there. I got this thing for like $200 or whatever. We bring it home. I had to figure out how to do the wiring and all this crap with my dad, because it was positive ground and all this. So over the summer, I built this motorcycle, put it all together. I'm riding it with all the guys, and this thing would, like, it was almost like you said, like clockwork. You'd be riding it for like 30 minutes, and all of a sudden the motor would lock up, and you pull over to the side of the road, let it sit 10 minutes, kickstart it, it would start right back up. I'm like, what in the hell? And one day we're messing around, and people are over there, same thing. There's like 10 guys over there. We're trying to figure out what's going on with the thing. And somebody said, have you checked the oil on it? And like, cause it acts like it's like seizing up the motor. And we're like, well, yeah. And somebody stuck a flashlight down inside the oil bag, which on those, they have the oil in the block, but they have the pump that is, it brings it up to the oil bag. And he had the flashlight in there, and he saw something red, and he pulled out a red shop rag out of the oil bag.
Wow.
So what happened is that the whole time I was riding that motorcycle, the guy that, when he had that bike in that laundry room, he stuck a shop rag in there. Well, one of the kids had poked it, and it went down inside that bag. So then when we put oil in it, we didn't know what was in there. So I rode this thing for, a year like that, doing that, where the motor would seize up, never heard it, and then as soon as I pulled that, or they pulled that shop rag out, and we dumped the oil out of the bag, checked it, rinsed it, put it back on there. Man, I rode that thing for years after that. Not one time did it ever do that again.
Wow.
It was so frustrating. It's going to be something so stupid that it'll just piss you off.
Oh yeah. Well, and I'm like, we've got a mechanic in town that I've used before. Like when I needed something done on a lift, I don't have time, whatever. I mostly try to do my own work, but I think it was my sister. Somebody asked me, they're like, "Are you ready to take it in?" And I'm like, "Nope. Now I'm on a mission. Now I want to.
Yeah.
I want to fix it. Like,
You know?
you know."
So when my Kia, I will not call her Leah just for sake of you boys not liking that. Anyways, I asked him, I'm like, is there something? Because it happened right at the time that the first oil change needed to happen. And he said there's no way.
You know, because I always listen to Heidi.
And I was like, can it be that because it needs an oil change? No. Proceeded to not drive it, and once in a while drive it, but it's always have to start anytime you slow around. I got really good at going around all the corners in this certain way that I would slow down before the corner, and as I hit the corner, I would just accelerate as fast. Yeah. Anyways, it's a 4-cylinder. It wasn't super exciting, but it's challenging. Well, I finally got him to change the oil,
and then it never did it again.
Yeah. Until I needed another oil change. And it did it again. And
we should have a show for hoopty tricks.
Oh, I got a million of them.
Yep.
I've never driven anything super nice.
You got to hit the corner at 3 miles an hour and then gas it.
Yep. You got to coast up, keep, put it neutral and rev it up, and then hit that corner. Oh yeah, I got lots of them.
Bill Cameron says good night, and he'll see you guys next week. Good night, Bill.
Good night, Bill.
What's up, Nelson?
Nelson, you want to jump in? I sent you a link. I texted to you, and I sent it somewhere else.
Our Roadster is our most reliable vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But you should see the looks we got driving my big old rusty truck all the way to Idaho and back, pulling a trailer with a motorcycle in the back, and she didn't miss a beat at 350,000 miles.
Hey.
Gotta love a 6.0 Chevy.
Yeah. So we're all going to be hanging out with Nelson out at SEMA. So he's going to be the hot spot.
Right on. I have that banner on my wall in my shop.
Yes, you do.
Yep.
Thank you, Nelson.
Nelson is no joke.
Yep.
Man, he bought a new Mercedes.
I want to see Nora.
Nelson bought a Mercedes, man. It's a monster. I think it's the biggest one you can get before you get to the what is it, Maybach?
Maybach, yeah.
Maybach?
Really?
Yeah, it's a big boy.
What the heck's that? Maybach? What'd you say?
Yeah, Maybach is the high end Mercedes. It's not a Mercedes, but they built it. I mean, it is a Mercedes, but it's the rich folk stuff.
Yeah, does the back seat in the Maybach recline? It's got a footrest or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's like the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
He just put a chip in it. It's already a big
chip in it.
Hey Nelson, how many horses? I think it's 700 horse from the factory. Somewhere in there. It's a beast.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm gonna get out of here, you guys.
Hey man, we appreciate you coming on, bro. We missed you.
Isaac, nice meeting you. Love you guys, man. I'll see you guys hopefully next week or something. We'll see what happens.
Okay, I'll be talking to you.
Thank you for the info and some of that direction. I appreciate it.
Yeah. If you figure it out though, you got to text us and let us know or come back on the show.
Oh,
and
definitely.
Let us know what happened, man.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sure.
It'll be
let us know how many thousands of hours and dollars you spend on this before your wife kills you.
Well, here's the worst part. I'm stuck dealing with that. I have a 72 Chevelle that's sitting waiting to be worked on, and it's hers.
Man. Get that going.
So
Push
I'm here
the Honda away.
Well, the Honda's her daily. Although my S10 Blazer has been her daily recently. So
you're gonna start catching the blues.
Man.
Yeah, good luck. Let us know. Because like I said, that's I know that drives you crazy, but
yeah.
If you just hopefully once you can determine or if you can make it do it, then you can fix it. That's the problem with something like that.
Or kind of corral it to an area of like air, fuel, ignition, and then at least kind of circle around it that way too.
Yeah.
All right, Arco, go to bed.
That's what I do. Check the grounds first, man. Go start with the easy stuff first,
Yeah.
And don't forget about the ones in the driver's side. I know this is funny, but the driver's side, underneath the, you got the carpet and you got that little plastic piece. You pull that up, and you got some grounds in the Hondas right there that runs a lot of electrical. When you open the driver door, it's right underneath the driver door, right there. That little what do you call that?
That plastic sill.
Yeah,
Mhm.
The plastic sill.
And then right in front of that, there's a bunch of them on the opposite side. So, yep.
Okay.
That's I'd be checking them grounds first, man, because they'll wreak havoc on everything, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey Heidi, I'll be hitting you up sometime this week or next week
Okay.
about my order. I'm gonna. Hey, you gotta make me look fly. You know, when I walk out there, I want to look like Elvis.
That don't take much. That don't take much, brother.
So you want big collars? Got it.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, actually,
Rhinestones.
I want to do a tribute for Boyd Coddington. I want to wear some flowered shirts.
There you go.
I don't know if I have any of those.
We'll meet up with Joe out there, so I want to be sporting the flowered shirt. She called me Little Boyd when I was wearing the flowered shirt.
Oh man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so my wife said,
and be like, "No, Joe."
listen, my wife, I put the flowered shirt on, right, and I was wearing my hat, and my glasses. She goes, "You like Boyd, a black Boyd." So I texted Joe. I was like, "Joe, my wife said I look like your ex-husband or your husband." She's like, "Okay, we'll call you Little Boyd."
Oh
Little
man.
Boyd. All 6 foot bazillion of you.
Yep.
Oh, awesome! Yay, Nora! That is so cool.
That's tight.
Nora's going to the SEMA too.
Sweet.
Yeah, she's epic. She's got her own following
Yeah,
for sure.
All right.
We're out of here.
Yeah, we got.
All right, Arco. Good seeing you, bud.
All right, people.
You too. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you, man. You guys have a good night.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
All right, later on. Thanks so much.
All right, so we never talked about tires.
No.
No.
So the reason we're talking about tires, or I'm talking about tires, is because my wife's car, what she got, Toyota? So we're on the freeway and it starts shaking. I'm like, oh man, I got a broken belt somewhere. So I get out and look around, can't find it. So we drive a couple more days and it really is getting bad, right? So yesterday I look at the front of the car, and when I tell you the tire, it had to break all the belts in it. It was unbelievable how beat up this tire was.
She probably got bad struts.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
or it was just one tire that was bad, Lewis?
Yeah, it was just one tire, yeah.
It could be a defect in the tire.
Yeah, it was broken up pretty good, man. The
Front
guy
or
took
rear,
it-
right? Front.
Front, yeah.
Yeah, you got a worn strut.
Yeah.
Certainly could be.
Took it to the tire place, and the guy took it off, and man, he's like, this thing is like noodles.
How many miles were on that tire?
I'm not sure. It's a used car I bought, so
Mm.
who knows? Yeah, but you're probably right, because it's sitting kind of low in the front. I'm thinking struts too. Yeah.
Okay.
Always something. Can't get away easy.
Well, on that note, if you're going to replace it, it's really, you can buy the quick struts now, which is the strut, cartridge, and the spring.
All together.
And the only problem is if you have a car that has enough miles on it, you do the fronts. The rears could probably use it too because they're just as old.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to spend double the money, but that's the one way to really return the car back to the suspension feel it should have.
Yeah. I'm going to call some connects and see if I can get some get some help here, because I'm building a bus.
Yeah, well, I think Wagner was the original company selling the quick struts, and now there's a couple of companies that sell them, so they don't have a monopoly anymore, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I need a wheel bearing too on the. How does it go? If you turn right and it makes a noise on the left, how does it go? I forget.
The way I like to diagnose wheel bearings is drive on the highway like where there's a barrier, and the sound will bounce off that barrier. That's the way it'll amplify it for you.
Ah.
But if you're driving and you take and and you hear the wheel bearing noise, right? And you turn left, you're taking the weight off of the right, so it's the right front.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're cruising along and you whip the wheel and you take and the car and the noise goes away, the only time that's going to screw you up, or could it be if it's the one of the rears, because you're not taking the weight off of the rear, and you'll still hear the noise. Now, if you do that and you keep hearing the noise, most likely it's something in the rear, or you could have both wheel bearings bad. But
I had a broken belt on the back of a car one time, and it gave me the shake in the front.
Yeah,
and I thought it was my front tires, but it was the back one. So
usually if it's the rear, you'll feel it in the seat of your pants. You'll feel it, in your in your butt. You'll feel it in your butt. Usually, if it's the rear.
I got this car at the right price. I gotta fix it. You know what I mean? It's paid for. All that good stuff. So. And
Isaac, that Honda. That's was that an automatic or a manual? Manual, right? Yeah.
Manual. That's why I don't want to get rid of it. It's fun to drive, getting the gears and play with it. Right.
No, I was thinking maybe if you had like a locking torque converter up or something, but it's a man. That's right. I remember you said you replaced the clutch and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's the problem, Isaac. You did too much. You've replaced too much stuff. You don't know where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Nelson, go to the Facebook Messenger. I sent it to you in Messenger. Sorry, guys. Let me go back.
Now, have you guys ever experienced, you were saying, Ray, about go on the freeway next to the barrier, you can hear the sound reverb. Have you guys ever, and I'm sure you have, experienced where you're going down the road and you've got a car next to you and it's making a noise, but you're thinking it's yours?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've had that where it's a newer car next to me and and again, you're going a couple miles down the road and they're still pacing you or whatnot, and you're going, what is going on with my car? And it ends up being the car next to you.
What's even more, what I get even more than that is smells. I'll catch like a little bit of burning rubber, a little bit of like asbestos from like a clutch or brakes. I'm like, damn, is that me?
Yeah.
And then you just say, it's probably not. Give it a minute. It's usually not. Yeah.
I usually smell weed.
Oh, I get that all the time here too. Yeah, but now there's this. When I go to Queens, I noticed I kept smelling like burning rubber, and I thought, man, how many the guy's belt must be going. And then like a block later, I smell it again. Like, no, the different cars. And then I realized like it's some kind of strain of weed they're smoking in Queens that smells like. I'm like, who would smoke something that smells like burning rubber? Like, dude,
you'd be surprised.
Terrible. It must be pretty damn strong too, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have people in front of me, man. I can smell it. I'm like, man,
oh yeah,
they're gonna kill themselves.
Yeah, I know. I get that all the time now.
Yes,
well, it's legalized here, so you get it a lot. And it's like, and the best part though too is you're not slick. Everybody, I don't care, but at the same token, they're like Lewis said, they're in the car, and it's like, hey, leave that stuff at home.
Right.
Do it.
Drive it on the highway.
Yeah.
What's up, Mr. Nelson?
Oh man, just working.
Hey, that's a good thing. Nora is becoming a star. She's putting you in the closet, bro.
Yeah, man. I got a call. When was it? This Tuesday, and it was actually from Amsoil. And they were actually doing an interview. Well, it's more or less interviewing me about my daughter. So I thought that was very interesting. And they're showing, a lot of interest in, her coming to SEMA and stuff. And
nice.
She heard it through the Hot Waters of Tomorrow and stuff. So
yeah.
So
nice.
We also actually put a picture of my Morgan up there. So I thought that was pretty cool. She also might want to put that in the magazine. So
okay. Sweet.
You guys familiar with the Morgan?
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
That's yeah. Every once in a while we'll see a rich guy with one.
Not quite, but that's been a dream of mine since high school. It was like it's got all the curves, man. It's a really smooth looking car, and I've got cousins and family and stuff in England, and they still actually handcraft every single fender, and so it's actually tapped out with a mallet and stuff.
Really?
And yeah, they still have the wood frames now. Mind you, the 2020 actually they went with a new frame. They still have the wood frame just around the cockpit, but they've quadrupled the amount of metal for the frame and rigidity. So with the new EPA stuff, they went with the BMW motors. So my car weighs 1,400 pounds wet, and this one it's just over 2,000 pounds with the twin turbo straight six out of the BMW and the Toyota Supra motor and 8-speed automatic.
What year is yours?
Mine's a 2019.
Okay.
It looks like a 30s or 40s car.
Yeah.
So it's a anniversary edition after that. So I know it's anniversary of blue, and come to find out, actually my car is a 1 of 1. So the color combination and 5-speed 4-cylinder, it's the only one. They made 60 of the Morgan Plus 4s in 2019, and this is the only one in anniversary blue with the baseball mitt type coloring for the seats and stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool. So I'd like to
go ahead.
I was saying I'd like to just drive that other one. I mean, you're talking about nearly 400 horsepower in a 2,000 pound car, man. That's got to be insane with no traction control computers and stuff in it.
Yeah, all muscle,
old school.
Yeah.
Well, just be drifting around, man.
Hey, on that kind of car, you gotta wear the leather helmet.
Yeah.
And that light of car, man, you're gonna need to wear something to make sure you're strapped in.
Right. So, what day are you going to SEMA?
We're gonna fly out on Sunday and do our setup on Monday.
Okay. I'll be there Monday.
We've actually had the dragster guy pulled out yesterday, so we were actually going to have a 1,000 horsepower Mustang out there. I think it's just short of 1,000 horsepower, but it's got a new style blower that's going to be competitors of ATI Pro Charger, EES or ESS, I think it is. They got a company backing him. His wife actually this past month just got her NHRA license. And to tell you how quick this Mustang is, I want to say it's 2020 or 2021. She has to have a parachute on it, so that means 150 plus miles an hour in 8. So
yeah,
so They're cranking it.
So they're gonna be in your booth outside or in your
outside.
Okay.
Yes. We'll be located. Do you remember where General Motors is or was? General Motors backed out. Ford's backed out.
Wow.
That's gonna be General Motors' old booth is gonna be the SEMA booth, and there's gonna be ATEC, and then we're gonna be right behind ATEC. So we're still in the Central Hall. 23830 is our booth.
Okay.
Nora is actually gonna be hooking up with Miller Welding at the SEMA show, and she may be introducing and showing how I can't get into it, but we're R&Ding some equipment for Miller Welding.
Okay.
So that's all I'm going to say, because a new stuff's coming out from Miller that's really, really next level. It's going to change the game, even for small guys.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be there Monday night.
Okay.
Are we doing Circus?
Yes, I've got your name on a list. We're going down through that. I've also I've befriended. Do you guys know Tim Lawrence from Chicago, the lead guitarist? He's a big Boss Hog guy, and anyway, he might be able to get us in on some of their places at the Venetian. They have some. I could call them condos or something, and that's down there by the pool area. He can pick that's it, and he can pick them up pretty inexpensive. And I didn't know if I could pull his clout, and that'd be pretty cool to have us a bunch of bungalows over there, man.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Let me know.
I'm trying to get his pricing because it would be almost the same price as what it would be for the Circus, and a hell of a lot nicer.
Yeah. The bungalow is no joke.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah.
And
Sarah Edwards is coming. Dwayne Maddox is coming. Johnny Balmer is going to be there. The Guinness World Book record holder. We got a new guy from Cars on net. I believe he's on Netflix. Cars TV. Willie Rowell, we sponsor him. He's out of Indiana. But yeah, he's coming. And Tyler Long and his dad's going to be coming up too. So, it's going to be a pretty good crowd. I'm kind of excited because I haven't been there in a couple of years.
Yeah,
I heard it was really pushing for the electric side last year. And I'm just excited with a lot of things going on. We've just picked up another really huge account. So we're looking to expand the last building. Stuff started popping up in the last, couple of yards and finishing up that deal. And I didn't want to replace an elevator, I should say a lift and stuff. It was just going to be astronomically expensive. So, so we're looking at different properties and possibly going to end up building. So,
okay. Well, let me know. I can come down with my hammer and duct tape.
Heck yeah, man. We're going to put something together.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reaching out to all my people, and I'm going to push them to your booth to meet me, meet the Plan and Traffic crew at your booth. That's my plan. But this year I'm not going to be running around with my head off. I'm going to see some people and just relax. You know what I mean?
Well, I met a ton of people on Monday as everybody was doing the booths. These guys are scouring around and stuff. I mean, on Monday, I met Danny Coker. He was nice. Mike was actually, this right-hand man. I think it's Mike on counting cars. But anyway, super nice people too. They were nice to me and stuff. And Dave Kendig, I met with him. I met Aaron. I met who else did I meet? I saw and shook hands with Chip Foose, and it just seemed like it was a record day for me. I was like a little mini Coverman 66 that day, kept taking pictures and ragging on Terry Wilson and telling him, you got to be here on Mondays, man. And so I'm pretty sure he's coming out there Monday morning. So
my flight comes in Monday night. Maybe I'm going to call and see if I can change it to get in the morning.
Yeah, because I've actually delayed, always just dragging ass trying to get in there. First thing, I get there about 10 o'clock, and it takes me about an hour and a half to do our booth, or hour. It's not a big booth setup or anything, but now it's like I'm charged. I want to get there by 8 o'clock, get it done, and just scour the place, man, and looking for everybody. And that's when they've got just a second to talk to you and stuff like that. And that's how you get out there. And that Nora's going to be, that's going to be a real big thing too, because some of the people aren't going to be looking for a 9-year-old at SEMA. I've been told that she's going to be policed, but I've talked to a couple of people higher up, and then Selena and stuff, and they're excited about seeing what she can bring to the table. And we're pro hot rodders of tomorrow, and we want to get all the young families involved and get them going, man. And I might actually talk to you about starting to monetize Nora, because with the Amsoil calling me, and they have a really big interest in her and all the stuff that she's done, dude, there's something there. I mean, being able to run our CNC equipment, being running 110 to 164 ton presses, and she's built she's been building. I don't know if you guys caught her on Sam's Garage, but she was just there building 4L80 torque converters. She's had a very fruitful last 5 years. So, in a career,
how old is she?
She just turned 9 last month.
Yeah.
But her biggest claim to fame, she loves welding, man. She just, how it comes together and putting the two pieces, and look, it's solid. She gets excited about it, and it's
nice.
It's just refreshing that it's amazing to a kid and see it come together. I don't know, and pride. She's my daughter, so it's cool. And I'm like, I guess I need to start practicing, because her welds are looking pretty good. So I need to get back on the stick again and do that and get back into the MIG again. So Yeah, that's going to be a trip, man. But she's actually in robotics with her school right now, and they started back, and so yeah, she's got a lot going on, man. She's having some growing pains, but you know, she really took the summer off to some extent. She did work some, but most of it was just hanging out with friends and stuff. So, and then we did that one shoot with Sam and Davi. So
Yeah.
we got one coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend on the car that Sam's doing. It's going to be a really hot street car, but yeah, it's good. It's going to be a good show too. So I need to get Sam Adavi out there to SEMA. He hasn't been out there in a couple of years. He hasn't been out there since I was out there.
I was going to call him and see if he was going. He hasn't mentioned it.
Well, okay. Well, he's like, yeah, since Nora's coming, and then it's like, man, I just don't know if he can get enough business. And, I mean, he's got to be able to pay for the trip, and I get that. So, but I'm sitting there thinking, the way Nora went around interviewing, I did it, steering columns, and she knocked that out of the park, man. They got 17,000 views now on that same video from her interviewing them. And it was, I filmed it off my phone. I mean, and she was like, so what is this back here? And she just never missed a beat, man. It was almost like it was scripted, but it wasn't. And she did that with Racer's Quip. She did that with Aero Quip, Racer Quipment. Yeah. And Aero Quip, so that they have he was talking about gas cans and fuel filters and stuff like that, and a certain gas cap that they had. Mm-hmm. And she just rolled with it, man. And so we tried to keep it at like 60 seconds and stuff. And she ran into some racers that are kind of iffy, but that got her some exposure. I agree with Jim. kind of like, should I do that or not? But hey, it blew up. She got almost 28,000 views in 2 days. And then I pulled the plug on the attachment. That's
crazy.
Yeah. Oh. But all in all, man, she's everybody's very interested. And what was funny was most everybody at the PRI show already knew who Nora was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, that's crazy, man.
Hey, look, when we were walking around, she was the star. I'm like, oh, where you want to go? She's like, let's go over here. Let's go talk to her. So, yeah. She's no joke.
Yeah. Now, can we just? I mean, I'm gonna try to get her watching her reaction to Las Vegas as we're coming in, because I mean, this will be the first time she's ever been on a plane.
Oh wow!
So it'll be the whole 9 yards, and then all the lights, and then the circus, and then all the foods and the plates and the building, and I think that it'll be just a little bit bigger than PRI, and that's what she's thinking. But I know for a fact that there's SEMA. They only have approximately like 90 to 100 booths left. I mean, they've sold out of all the spaces.
Oh, did they? Good.
I mean, they've got like 90 to 100 left, so it's going to be a show of some kind.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to, everybody's like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Sales is this, sales is that. Bull crap. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make it happen, man.
Yeah, I feel you. Yep.
So, I mean, and last week, I got the biggest honor I think I've had in my life. My college is right across the river here, University of North Alabama in Florence. And, they've asked me to be a keynote speaker because I went to school there and now I'm having a successful business, and they want me to talk to all their seniors and faculty and stuff.
Nice.
And what to expect and motivational and that kind of stuff. And I'm like, cool. Okay. What do I talk about? And they're like, yourself.
That's it.
So, I'm like, that's not a good story, man. So so now I've got to study and actually have something written up and make all that stuff happen. So
good. Glad for you, man.
A lot of stuff going on. Yeah.
I got a tech question for you.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you make torque converters for buses?
Okay. They have questioned me on doing some for them, but I am not making them currently. I basically told them what I would do and how I would go about doing it. Do their questions, and because they wanted to make sure. And pretty much, I guess I gave the farm away when I was talking to them about it because I never got a call back.
Oh, really? Because Because I got the Allison MT something in it. It has a lock torque. Wait, how you say it? Lock
Yeah,
up.
it's a lock up stuff. Yes.
But I'd rather run yours if you built one.
I mean, if it comes with one, that's fine. And if you need it freshened up, man, I mean, just send me the core. We can do it and repair it. There's over 300 torque converter builders in the United States, and we actually build torque converters now we're doing them for 9 of those companies.
Okay.
So we are looking at almost clearing out 36,000 torque converters this year.
Wow, sweet.
So
okay,
when you look at some of the people,
once I get to that part of the build, I will reach out for sure.
Yeah, man, we'll be more than happy to help you out, man.
Yeah, cool. All right, I got to get off, but you guys can stay on for the after party. Ray's gonna kick off the margaritas.
God, I could use one, I tell you.
Yeah. All right, Nelson, I appreciate you coming on, bro. You got to come on more often. Where you been?
Family, business. I've been having to burn the candle at both ends. Had some. Just had my. I tore my ACL. I'd love to give you a great story, but I was just getting off the back of my truck, man.
It was 5 guys. It was the last dude got me.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds like a better story, but So I was defending my wife. That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, but no, I was just getting off the back of my truck, man, and I was even planning to hit the ground, and oh man, it was awful.
Oh,
but we're doing the therapy. It's going to be a complete reconstruction surgery, and I've known people not to get it, so I'm like, I'm getting cut on. I think I'm going to put it off as long as I can.
Yeah, my daughter did it volleyball. She tore meniscus and ACL. Same.
Man.
Oh, it was bad, dude.
Well, tell her, God bless her. I mean, I know the pain, and it's just sometimes it's just weird walking. I mean, it's normal steps, and all of a sudden that knee is not there. It turns to spaghetti, and it hurts for like 1 or 2 steps, and it's gone. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So take care of them girls, man.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna.
They gonna come to SEMA this year?
No, just me.
Okay.
Me. So I'll be hanging out with you, bro.
That'll work, man. My wife, I'll ask her and try to get that purse set up and stuff for you. Finally,
yeah.
It's almost been a damn year, but
yeah, I forgot about it.
Yeah, I told you she would never pick one. So,
all right, you got to surprise her, and we'll build it.
Okay, make her a really nice one and just bring it to SEMA.
Okay, I'll do that.
Just do that, bro. Yeah.
And you wanted that color of her car, right?
We sold that car. That's what I was trying to pump in there, man. We bought that all electric Porsche Taycan +4 and or S4. I'm sorry, and it was great, but the electronics on it had glitches, and the Porsche dealer wouldn't admit it. I mean, you drive down the road, it'd throw itself into neutral. If you were sitting still at a red light for long enough, it just put itself in park.
Wow.
And you go to take off and driving it for 5 minutes, and all the screens would go black and then reboot. Huh. And the Porsche dealer didn't know anything about it, and they tried to put it off. And I'm like, you people, this is gonna. Now, it did not affect how you were driving the car, and you did have a mile an hour going on, but everything else on the car was black.
Wow.
So it was like, no, there's something wrong with this car. We were
Sounds
able
like
to
a bad ground. Being German.
There we go.
Exactly, brother.
Check the ground.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go through all that wiring and find the ground. So, but it was fun. It was all-wheel drive. It wasn't the turbo, so it wasn't, crazy fast. I would say it was definitely respectable. It was probably, I want to say this one was 2.8 seconds, 0 to 60. So, I mean, definitely respectable, but it wasn't the fast one. The fast one is 2.4 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Now they got that new Remick. I don't know if you've seen that Remick Nevada or Nava. That thing runs a quarter mile in 8.3. That's an all electric car. That's nasty,
Yeah.
quick. 0 to 60s. I'm in the 1 second range. I forgot what, like 1.4. Of course, you have to pay $2 million for that car.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So,
Ray's type of money.
Yeah.
no, that's lottery. That's lottery kind of money.
Yeah, right. All right, guys, I gotta jump, man. I gotta work. Some people gotta work in the morning.
Yeah, man.
It's so overrated. All right, Lewis.
Overrated.
Well,
Yep.
brother, we'll see you next
Hey,
week.
I appreciate
All right,
everybody. And
Take care,
everybody in the live chat, please share. Let all your friends know what we do here every Thursday night. And like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you for
Will
inviting
do.
me on, Lewis.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you coming on. Anytime, bro. Come on all the time.
Oh, definitely.
See you later, bro.
All
Sorry
right.
I haven't been on it nearly as much as I want to be. It's just, Nora's at school is really cranking up, and I'm not getting off work between 5:30 and it's 7, and her bedtime's 8:30, so it's been hectic trying to jump on here and stuff, guys. But I really enjoy being on here. I'm proud to. So, how's everything going with the radio show?
Status quo. No, not great, not bad. We always go through ups and downs, which is normal. But yeah, and then we get surprised with some, you get like a new listener or something will call in. Someone like Isaac will call and say, "Hey, I've been listening to you I always ask how long you've been listening. It's nice to find somebody who's been listening and just not been part of it, because now they're up to speed. Like Isaac already knows, he knows what we're into here. So you kind of get right into that. It's like the scene in American Graffiti where you come out of the bathroom, you just slide right onto the dance floor, and you just assimilate. So that's kind of cool. So
That's cool. How's that completely badass Impala of yours?
My Impala is sitting in front of the house. Mine's only got 22,000 miles on it. That car doesn't get used. In fact, I got to get it inspected this month. But
Man, I just drive it, man. I love that car.
I know. Yeah, I've been putting some miles on my Pontiac since I restored that. I'm giving that some love and getting it out. And I'm in the process now of dealing with Holly, because I picked up a dual sniper throttle body injection set for that car. So I had to get a couple of ancillary components, and I'm waiting to get that so I can do the switch over.
Heck yeah.
So that'll be fun. Yeah.
I actually built a torque converter for yours, the Impala there, that with the lockup, I've got it down under 25 pounds.
Wow.
And it would actually foot brake at about 22 to 2,400 RPM. So it was still very drivable, but dude, one hell of a kick.
Yeah.
You talk about dropping, I want to say there was about approximately 55 to 58 rear wheel horsepower gain.
Nice.
By having that light of a converter on there.
Sure. Oh, that's great.
Just so I wouldn't do it until it was necessary, though.
Right.
Then we could hook you up.
Yeah. But now I've been working at the shop, and they've been throwing. All of a sudden, I'm a truck mechanic. They're throwing me the tow truck and the flatbed problems, and like all the service stuff that no one has done in the last few years that now has to be fixed. And they're saying, "Hey, you can do this." I'm like, "Thanks."
Double your rate, man. Supply and demand.
I'm not a truck mechanic, though. That's the thing. Just doing a simple job like changing a lift piston on the flatbed. It snapped. It snapped off of one end, and where the pin goes into that ear it was all frozen. So that had to be cut out with an oxyacetylene torch. But just moving that thing and manipulating it and working on that heavy stuff, it was kind of less work than I've done on many cars. But I came home more tired. Swinging sledgehammers and big tools instead of hand tools.
I've been in deep draw metal stamping and actually being on the USS Enterprise, just trying to move the chains, the ropes, man, moving some. I mean, it's like, no, you don't get 2 or 3 guys. We have to have 20 people just to pick it up.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So
what's cool, I went into a shop last week. We had to go to a metal shop to pick up some metal for a project. and we got into the back, and I saw that this guy had. I took a picture of it. One of his bend presses, it had to be about 16 feet long, wide. So he's bending some big stuff. He had it was cool to see all that big equipment. I don't usually get to see that. So that was cool.
My dad used to do welding for one of the local garbage companies around here. Well, actually a couple of them, but he self-contracted it. He contracted himself out. He wasn't like a on-staff employee. And he usually worked on if he wasn't working on the big dumpsters, he was working on the trucks. And those guys, it's amazing. The trucks where they have the forks in the front to lift the dumpster.
Yeah.
He said these guys would bend them in sideways. And he's like, how do you do it?
Right.
And they were hitting things. And in fact, there was a couple of times we had to go out and where you have that I don't know what you call it, but where the dumpster sits and there's a block wall around it.
Yeah.
A driver had put in the can back. He was in a rush or whatever, and he smacked the wall. And before welding, my dad did carpentry and construction. He was actually a CB in the Navy. And we had to go, he asked me to help him. We had to go fix this block wall. And it wasn't but a week and a half, 2 weeks later, the guy knocked it out again.
Oh, wow.
Let me tell you though, those CBs, they know how to put their stuff together. They are top notch when it comes to welding. I went through welding in Norfolk, where I got a laser certified deep sea welder, man. So, I've actually welded on the USS Alabama, but those CB guys, man, they are awesome in constructing. It's just, you got to understand, he builds good stuff, and for somebody to immediately break it off like that, I have for his dad, man.
And that's the thing too, is like you said, as far as how the CBs are, everything he's built, he built a block wall around our house. And my brother, this is back in the early 80s with one of those big, huge cars from the 70s. I think my brother was doing a whole shot, spinning the tires, and lost control. But he said a soda pop bottle or whatever got stuck, and he tried to hit the brake and it hit the gas, and he slammed right into the wall. And all it did was 2 blocks in the center of the wall. It cracked the blocks, and my dad overbuilt everything. It was built to it was built to withstand a tornado, hurricane, or earthquake. And here, I'm in Tucson, Arizona. We really don't get any of those. At most, we get a funnel cloud once in a while. We might call it a tornado, but anybody in the Midwest would laugh at us.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. Over engineering. Yeah, I know a few people like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He had a friend of his that, and at the time I was going to school for architecture, and this friend had bought a house out on the outskirts of town, and there was a wash that went behind the house, and he was asking us, can you build a deck out? And if you build it out, so it would sit over the wash, with posts down into the ground. And I said, yeah, I could draw that up. And I'm going on, and I said, with load calcs and everything, you go about so far deep, and we make it out of this, that, and the other. And my dad said, no, you go 20 feet or, I'm talking 15 feet. He's talking 20 or 50 feet deep. You, with I-beams, with steel girders, you make the whole thing out of the whole frame out of steel girders, and you go down real deep. You fill it with concrete, put rebar around it. I mean, he just, right. He was right. I was going on what we had learned and going by the load calcs that would meet code. He was way over, above and beyond code.
Yeah. I can tie that in to my car life. Brian, what you said about guys, over engineering stuff. That's what I've been accused of when people look at my car and they see the way I grounded everything. And they're like, damn, why do you have so many grounds in this car? You got a problem? I was like, no, I don't have any problems. And this
Yeah.
is why, because I followed the dictum of, you ground the battery to the engine, but the engine has to ground to the chassis. You want to ground the alternator back to that as well. Then you want to ground the core support. Everything if you look at the way the car is built, there's a lot of rubber in the bushings. So all the sheet metal is grounded to the chassis, and the chassis is grounded back to the battery. Metal iron's a bad conductor of electricity and of ground. Aluminum and copper are much, much better. But it basically made the whole body and chassis of the car now a ground plane. So, the volt gauge, 14.5 volts all the time. You could pick up ground at any place in that car. And if you look at the way, especially most cars from the 60s are today, and even some from the 70s, they were very poorly grounded. The Japanese cars were very good, though. And that's like a lot of guys took their cue from cars like your Honda.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the first cars I saw that was grounded where the battery was grounded with a second strap right to the core support. And I said, that had me scrap. That's what I did with my car. I took a braided cable, went right from the negative battery, right to the core support.
Yeah. That's like on your car, Isaac, there. They have the one from the valve cover to the core support, and that one's always missing. And then you get little funny things going on because the engine's not ground,
I have that one. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
In fact, that was one of the first things I was checking is like, because I had, adjusting those changing those
coils,
the grommets, where the oil valley, the
valve
where
cover,
the spark plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. I double checked that and was like, okay, did I get that tightened down good enough? And yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because I think that's like one of the major grounds for the engine. So a lot of times when those are missing, you'll have some weird things like one of them would be like if it was automatic, the shifter cable will get actually break because it's the electricity, the ground going through there, heating up, breaking the cable. Exactly. Or another common thing would be like a heater control valve, because it would find that ground through the metal cable type thing. And those are, like I said, those are those things. It's going to find a path of least resistance, and that's why. We said, really check your grounds.
Yeah.
I'm more leaning towards you're probably going to find something temperature controlled. Related, something electrically. When it gets to a certain temperature, it has that problem, and of course it cools off. And it could be a broken solder joint in a relay.
Yeah,
and we had that problem with the German cars in the 944s and so forth, that it would heat up and expand. The solder joint would expand and it would have a problem, but then it would cool down, and of course it would resolder itself, and you might not have a problem again until 2-3 days later.
Yeah,
that solder joint would get hot again and that's something to kind of also think about. I don't know how that relays in on that.
This is that ground I was telling you about. I just used a braided cable. And what I do is I use star washers above and below the bolt, and a little dielectric grease, and perfect. So
yeah, that ground strap looks good.
And you can buy those in the auto parts store. Standard Motors sells them. They make them in I think it's 4, 6, 8, and 12-inch lengths. They're very, very flexible. And, you could use a length of any good quality wire if you can make a good crimp on it. But I said, hey, you know what? They sell them in the auto parts store. They're not that expensive. So buy the pre-made one. I have no problem.
Yeah, that's how I fixed that one on the Porsche. And it was the one on the transaxle. It was the one on the transaxle.
Okay.
And but that's what I did. I went down to the parts store and I picked up one from there, and it worked great.
Right. I had more pictures too, but I don't know. Yeah.
Another thing that I did change was the main fuel relay.
Oh yeah.
I forgot to mention that. Now here's the one thing with that is when right before I changed that, I let it run and had it running, and I felt it, and it wasn't hot as a firecracker, but it was pretty warm. I put the new one in. I let it run for a while, just to see how warm it got. It was a little bit warm, but not the same. And I had even, after I had it running, about 5 minutes later, came in and I handed it to my wife. Check this out, and she said, "Man, that's warm." I said, "It's been off the car and actually out in the open for the last 5-10 minutes, and it's still this warm."
Wow.
And
yeah,
they
get hot. They get hot. I mean, like I said, that's why that right there, that car, that doesn't have that just has a throttle body on it, right? That doesn't have a mass airflow sensor, does it?
No, it has the map.
It has a map, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to tell you, like Oldsmobile, well, anything with a mass airflow. We used to also take just the, end of a screwdriver or like this and just tap when it's running, just tap on the boxes. Mm-hmm. And, if you get any kind of response from that, that usually will help you. You don't have to beat the shit out of it.
Yeah, just like pop
just
it
a little
bit.
wrapping on it.
Yeah.
See if you get her irritated,
Yeah.
We used to have that problem. Like I said, it's really too bad that you can't get any kind of you don't have any kind of data to watch or see.
Right.
That's the hardest part about those older cars like that. But
yeah, exactly. That's because I mean, I know with the OBD2 you can get a little bit of data from the code reader, and if not, you can find somebody that has a computer that you can hook up to or something you can hook up to and get some live data. In fact, I think a couple weeks ago you were talking about one of the things that you sell that it looks about the size. I might be wrong, but it looks about the size of an iPad or something. And
mm-hmm.
yeah,
any of that stuff. And like I said, if you can find, again, where any kind of, like from a cooling temperature or any kind of sensor, if they have any kind of ohms readings or something like that. So you just get a general baseline, or checking your, I had a Mustang, a friend of mine owned it. She got so tired of pushing this car off the road because it would cut out on you. Mm-hmm. And usually it would act up a little bit. You knew it was getting ready to cut off because it would start to stumble and act up, and it would go into like a full rich mode type thing. It was never set in stone what it was going to do, but it would cut out, and of course, you'd come back, and it took me 3 years to find the problem. I was more, because again, she had a stack of where they put a computer in the car, they put a throttle, a TPMS switch, they put oxygen sensor, they put stuff that was even related with this problem. But
were you working by the hour on that job?
No. Well, actually, she got fed up with it, so I bought the car from her. And I bought it, and like I said, it was a convertible. I throw the top down, and 1 minute you're sporting, and the next minute you're sitting on the side of the road, and it would eventually start back up. At least I looked good, or at least I thought I did. But ironically, it took me forever to find. But what it was, where the wiring harness went through the firewall, and it had a rubber grommet around it where the wires went through, but it had rubbed through, and it was grounding out. It was grounding the single for the throttle.
Ford has had a lot of problems with bulkhead and wires going through bulkheads over the years.
And it took me, and of course, sadly enough, I fixed it, and it ran like a grape ape. I mean, the car, it was a world of a difference with that car. And unfortunately, a kid crossed the double yellow line and hit me head on and totaled the car after that. But, that's why I'm saying, like I said, I know you said that you wiggled wires and you jiggled this, and I don't have one here. Actually, I was looking for one earlier because we had an issue with another thing.
Well, just
the electrical switches, for the ignition switch, when you have a lot of keys, they put that weight on there. But usually you got some strange stuff. I mean, like windows wouldn't work, or car wouldn't start or will start type thing.
Brian,
usually it's not common one thing.
You're probably aware of this, Brian, but Ford actually came out with, I don't remember what year it was, but it's in the FSMs. It is a procedure. It's called the wiggle test.
Yeah.
And that's part of their diagnostic procedures, to grab the harnesses and wiggle them and see if you can replicate or make something change.
Yeah.
And is that with that bulkhead issue you were talking about? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, funny enough, when I was with Porsche back in the day, we had problems with the doors, with the wires going through the doors on those cars, where, like you said, either the door would lock or the window wouldn't work, or you drive down the road and the window would come down automatically. It was all kinds of crazy ass things. And what it was that we actually had to put a vent tube into the plug connector because they made it so airtight, the connection, that condensation built up and was eating the wires out.
Wow.
And the wires would eat out, and then you would have ones touching wires that weren't supposed to be touching, or you would have all kinds of crazy ass stuff. So, they went from one extreme to the other with that. And like I said, we had to change, and that was the bulkhead for the doors, the wires going through the doors. And we had to put vents in them because it was so airtight or so tight of a connection that condensation built up and caused havoc.
Yeah.
So with that age of the car, and of course, I guess it's pretty good that if it's always been in Arizona with that type of dry heat, it's not like it's rusted out and you're missing half the bottom of the car where some ground was supposed to be or something's supposed to go. But
yeah, that's the nice thing about out here. Like even the Chevelle, it's got surface rust, but out
it's
here,
nothing
it's nothing like back there. Things don't out here. They just don't really rust.
How long have you been out there, Isaac?
I grew up out here.
Okay.
My mom's side of the family, they've been here since 1775.
Wow.
We can trace back to that. But my father,
you don't have to be exact with that, right?
Yeah, right. But my father was actually born in Queens, New York.
Yeah, Queens.
Jamaica, Queens.
All right.
And that him and my uncle at a very young age, my grandmother took him and moved out to Monrovia, California, and then he grew up in California.
That's the desert, right? Is Monrovia?
No, that's it's Monrovia is by Pasadena.
I know. Okay.
Yeah, it's the hills, I guess what you would call the outskirt hills of Los Angeles, going towards the mountain, towards I think it's Big Bear.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. That's kind of more like what I was thinking, like the hilly area, not necessarily desert. Yeah, high desert's further south. Ah, cool. Very good.
Wow.
Yeah, and then my father moved out here in I think he said 67 or something like that, and met my mom, and I came about in 77. So, but yeah, I've been out here all my life. My son was in the military, and he was at Fort Jackson for his basic training, and we flew into Atlanta and drove up to South Carolina, and it was amazing, you know, coming from the desert to see all that green and
Yeah.
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Well, it's like I have my sister had moved to Colorado after, from New York, and then got married, had kids. And when she came back here with the kids the first time, the kids had never seen the ocean, so they grew up with mountains, looking at mountains from their backyard. But
yeah.
I remember taking them to the beach, and they were like, wow, you see the ocean the first time. It's pretty cool, And then now she's down in South Carolina, my niece and her kids, and they had her kids had never seen snow because so their mom, like my niece, grew up in Colorado with the snow and never saw the ocean where her mom was from, and now her kids never saw the snow where she was from. So it was funny to see another generation be exposed to a climate they had never seen before.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
The nice thing here, I mean, we've got the desert heat right now. We've got monsoon season. It's like, I was just checking, it's like 68% humidity right now. And we've still got this time of year, still got quite a bit of the heat, but then like come winter, it's fairly mild. I mean, you guys coming from New York or whatnot, you'd love it. In the winter, it's nice and mild for you.
Yeah.
But about a 40-minute drive, right on the bordering our city is Catalina mountain range and Mount Lemmon at the top, and it's at I think it's 8,500 elevation, and they get snow.
Yeah.
And then there's northern Arizona, what they call the White Mountains. There's pine trees, snow, and all that. The state's big enough. There's so much different climate,
right?
To experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's actually been, a lot of the state that I haven't seen. I've been in quite a few. Like I've been to the Grand Canyon when I was younger, but when you see the pictures of right where Arizona borders with New Mexico, and you see the mountains with they call the mesas with the flat tops. I've not seen any of that other than on movies or pictures, but I haven't been, what is it? The crater something or other.
Crater Lake.
No, not that. That's Utah, I think.
Okay.
No, there's a crater, and it's got a visitor center and everything here.
Oh, I read about that crater. Yeah, that was like there was a lot of mystery surrounding it, and what.
Yeah, I've never been to there. I'd like to, but I'm just the state's just so big. There's so much to see.
Have you ever been out east, out this way?
Like I said, the furthest I've been is South Carolina.
Well, that's
Georgia.
not much further east.
But I've been to Indiana, Illinois. I've been basically we drove from Arizona to Illinois. I've been up to Wisconsin. But I haven't been up in your area in New York, New Jersey, and all that. I haven't. Now my wife's family is from New York as well.
Okay.
And which is funny because when her dad has the accent, and it's not real heavy because he's been out here so long. But like when she gets upset, she's got a New York accent.
What part of New York are they from?
Long Island.
Oh, that's where I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So are those RC cars behind you?
So
yeah, I've got like right now this room is a catch-all, but there's planes, GI Joe stuff.
I see a helicopter.
There's a helicopter.
So on your GI Joe stuff, are they the old 12-inch guys or
I've got a couple of those, but I've got the 3 and 3. What is it? 3 and 3/4
3 1/4 or whatever. Yeah.
I've got those. I've actually back. Let's see, right over this shoulder, that bluish looking one. That's a Sukhoi Su-35, I think. I needed something to combat my other planes.
Oh yeah.
So, and I've over to this shoulder, I've got another one that's hanging Let me see if I can. There it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then I've got a ton of Hot Wheels everywhere.
Oh, you're talking.
I always hear your Hot Wheels stuff. Watch, hold on. I got one. I want to see if you got it. Hold on.
Brian's got 5 of them. What do you mean if you have it? Brian, I bought something this week.
Yeah, I know. I saw your post. I
what the
wanted to go over that with you. That was good. That was you went with the one size bigger.
I went with the bigger one. Yeah. It was only double the price. So what the hell?
Yeah, I mean,
it's only money.
Back to the Future. Yeah, I have that.
Nice.
Do you have this one with I don't know if it's coming out clear, but
there's a glare on the plastic, Isaac.
Yeah, it's got the this is the one that has the train wheels.
The train wheels.
Yeah.
I think that I'm not a big Back to the Future guy. I mean, I've seen the movies and so forth, but I think that's an era in that card reading, because they say that's 1955 on the card.
That should have been like
that should have been 1855.
Right. Agreed.
Because that's when the train was 1855,
right.
not 1955.
Oh, you're right.
That was the Old West. Yeah,
you're right. It does say that.
Right. So I've been asking a few people asking people on some sites, and they all look at me like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "That if that car's the wagon wheel car, that would have been 1855, not 1955." Now I know he came back to 1955 in that car, but.
No, he went back to when it had the train wheels. He went back to 1985.
Right, that's what I meant to say. 1985.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't think that card's right, and of course, I wanted to make it. I guess I'm trying to make a bigger deal of it, but this is the one I just picked up, and it was the monster truck.
Oh, okay.
Back to the Future.
That's wild.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's
pretty
wild.
Good.
So. Yeah, I saw that the other day, and I try not. The only monster trucks that I collect or have a lot of is the Bigfoot. That's my the one that I really like. So I was going through and I saw the DeLorean. And I was like, God, man, they're going to get me, and they got me.
They got you.
Yeah, I've got a bunch that are open. That like I used to get them for my kids as stocking stuffers for Christmas, and then they got to an age they're like, "Dad, stop getting them. We're not into Hot Wheels." I'd still get them, and I'd say, "Well, give them to me."
Yeah,
But I've got so many, and actually at one point we had a little boy that lived next door, and I went through a bunch of what the little car carriers that I had for my kids, and I took the duplicates. Because I'm fanatic about Hot Wheels. Yeah. Inbox are open. I'm more so open because I want to get my hands on it. If I don't have the real car where I can get in, I can sit there and pretend and just stare at it, But I gave a whole car carrier box just full of them to the kid.
Yeah, I've given a few away also, and I try to. Some people like. The money, and I said, well, it's not about the money. It's just it's the joy of it. Yeah. And like I said, I've opened up, some of them that are worth some money. I mean, there's a few that I have. I still open them up and they're displayed,
Yeah.
And, but again, like I said, I've gotten, really it's a bad habit, but like I said, I enjoy them. And
so shifting gears from the little car to the big car, how's that 72 Chevelle going to be set up? What's the plan for that?
So what I'd like to do is put an LS motor. I'm thinking of 5.3 LS motor with a Tremec 6-speed. And at one point, I've been back and forth on keeping it with the 4-link rear end or going with a Corvette style IRS. I've been back and forth. But again, it's my wife's, and she wants a 327, an older 327.
Oh.
And which I can't disagree with her on that. But I'm like, but with the LS, I can do so much more, and you can
worlds apart with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But I don't remember if she decided what color she wants. Right now, it's the light blue, but that might just be kind of fade.
How was that car? How's the car outfitted originally? How was it in stock configuration?
It was the inline six. It was
wow.
the Chevelle Malibu, and it was the inline six with the 3 on the tree.
Wow. Okay,
Wow.
that's probably with a bench seat too.
Yes, it has the bench seat.
That's kind of that's a stripper oddball, man. That car, see, guys will build that car that way, and people be around it all day at the car show because they haven't seen one in 100 years.
Yeah.
So why does she want a 327 specifically? What's the attraction?
So what I think it is is that so way back, my dad was real big on the 327 and was like, that was the best motor Chevy ever made.
Great engine,
you know, and all the stories behind it, which again, I can't disagree with that. But you know, I did tell her those are getting harder and harder to find.
They are.
You know, they're just
That's like
not
that
impossible,
little guy, right?
but
yeah, there you go. Right. What taillights are in that car? They round?
They're the round ones.
Those round taillights, Brian, or is that a 70? What's the back look like?
This one's a 70.
That's a 70.
Yeah, I've got something similar. It's
look at you guys.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And this one's a 70.
That's a yeah. Is that the Camaro? That's a Chevelle?
Yeah, it's a Chevelle. It's the
Oh yeah. It's the new yeah. Okay, yep.
Oh, I've got
this one was from the first edition.
Night Rider.
This is like 1999. That's the vintage.
Nice color too.
I like the color on that.
It's like I'm saying that's the color of my car, so it's kind of like no wonder I like it. But what I'm going to say is, you know, they do make a dress-up kit for the LS valve covers that look like the old original valve covers. So you can dress up an LS to make it look older. I don't know if they make a V-belt setup for it, though. But so theoretically, you could put an LS in the car and make it think it's a 327.
Yeah.
Say, 327 really moves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've thought about that. I think I honestly have. Well, in the story on the car, so at the time I was a court runner. I worked for this company where we delivered and filed paperwork for attorneys. And one of the ladies that took paperwork at the federal court, excuse me, we got to talking one day and she said, you're into cars? And I said, oh yeah, I love cars, anything cars, foreign, domestic, if it takes a key, it turns on and goes and makes noise. I to one degree or another, I can appreciate it. And she said that her and her husband had it was either a 47 or a 48 Dodge 2-door sedan.
Wow.
Or coupe, whatever you call it. But she said that they had it put on. They wanted to do where you put the Camaro front,
the
subframe on.
Yeah.
And they sent it to somebody, and they had started doing it, and the guy had kept it, and he didn't do it right by the time they got it back, and he had kept it for so long. So they had went ahead and put it on a S10 chassis, and the trunk was completely out of it, the floorboard of the trunk. And they asked if I could weld, and I said, well, my dad's a welder. I kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm not certified or an expert. But I say, you want me to weld on something that some scrap and show you what I can do? And she said, well, we can't pay you, but maybe we can work out a deal. Well, they were going to give me a 55 or 56 Mercury and in trade. And so I went down and checked out they're and these were car people. I mean, they had cars in their backyard, like just sitting. I'm like, oh, even when they're sitting, they're beautiful because you can just see what can, what you can do with them. But I showed him what I could do with welding, and he said, I've got the welder, I've got the steel tubing, and so what they wanted is for me to make a structure out of the tubing, a frame, so to speak, for the floorboard. And on the side, I think it was on the passenger side, there was a cradle for the spare tire. Well, she was disabled, and to get a wheelchair or a her little scooter in there, that where it was originally set up would be in the way. So he wanted to put it towards the back seat. And I had gotten all the framing done. We had gotten everything done to the point of starting to do the floor. They had the Chevelle there, and I asked, well, how much would you be asking for it? And he says, I'll take $1,500 for it.
Wow.
And I said, sold. And and I brought it home as a present for my wife because she loves Chevelle. I mean, I love Chevelles too, but she really loves Chevelles. Going back from the movie Dazed and Confused, the one that McConaughey drove. So I dragged that home, and then not too long after that, we went through a hard time and some hardships, and I lost contact with those folks. And prior to losing contact with them, they wanted to give me they said, you've done quite a bit of work. Go ahead and take the Mercury. And I said, I don't want to take the Mercury until the work's done. I understand what you're saying, and you feel that the work I've done is worth taking it, but I want to see the job through. And then, like I said, stuff came up, and I lost contact with them. And so I lost out on the Mercury. I'm bummed about that. And unfortunately, and this is the crazy thing, unfortunately, the lady had passed away, and I think the husband passed away shortly after that. And they used to talk about going north of Tucson to a cowboy roundup. And they talk about it all the time. And I never put two and two together. It ended up, I found out after she passed away and whatnot, that they went to the same cowboy roundup that my aunt and my mom would go to, and they went to church with my aunt, and the church was like walking distance from my mom's house, and I never knew it, never put two and two together that the roundup and the roundup's in the same place, and my aunt had grown up in that area, on some of the ranches, so she knows all those people up there. So I never put two and two together. I mean, I was so close, to even getting back in contact with them and finishing the work for them and everything, Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's cool. A Chevelle will be a nice project anyway. Everything's available. I just did a Chevelle, 71 Chevelle for a guy I work for. I was doing a lot of restoration work and mechanical stuff, and then we ended up bartering for the work that I did and what I had to finish. He would paint my car for me, and I said, "Yeah, no problem." And that's how I got it. That's how I got that done. But yeah, working on those Chevelles is pretty straightforward, pretty easy.
Yeah.
Everything's available.
Yeah, I've got a couple of the I don't know if it's Goodmark or which, but I've got a couple of those catalogs.
Yeah.
And there's just so much in there.
Oh, sure. OPGI has a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Year One is another one. Ground Up is another good source. They were from out here.
Yeah.
Like I said, you'll find what you need.
I've actually got a couple of projects. I'm like, my addiction besides Hot Wheels is just cars in general. Like I said, I've got that Porsche 914. I've got a 72, I think it's a 72 or 73. It's a Dodge crew cab, quad cab, 4-door, 4-wheel drive.
Oh, cool.
Wow. Yeah.
It's got with the granny low gear and everything.
You don't see many of those either anymore.
No, actually tomorrow I'll have to remember if I can take a picture. It's a Dodge. I don't know what year pickup truck, but it's been restored or it's been done, and it's like the license plate says uncommon.
Yeah,
because it's not, you commonly don't see this. And, I want to say it's probably like a 72 or something like that. Power wagon pickup truck thing, and it's immaculate. It's two-tone, it's red and white, and the only thing that drives me crazy about it is that they have like newer Ram pickup truck hubcaps on it. You know what I'm saying? With the Ram's head on, in the center cap part, and it just looks so unplaced on that truck. Because that truck probably just had Steelies on it with a trim ring or something, if it even had that. But that's the only thing that drives me crazy. But it's a very clean, and like I said, I agree. It's very uncommon to see something like that.
Well, mine is I guess the first year or first model of the square body that went in through the 80s. And I also had an 84 long bed, and I got the wild idea. I'm going to slap the doghouse from the 84 onto the 72 and, give it the updated look and everything. And at first I was happy with it. And then I was like, you know what? I need to go back to the original. So I got to come up with doors and fenders and stuff that I'm going to plan on going back to original.
Yeah.
I mean, I had fun swapping it over and stuff, but I'm like, I need to go back to original.
Yeah, that's crazy.
There's just something about it,
Yeah. Yeah, it's I'll have to remember to take a picture of that because it's like I said, it's definitely unique. Or seeing that truck, I have a buddy. He's in the middle of doing a don't know what year it is, but it's like I think it's a 75 F-150 Ford, and it's like one of the first pickup trucks, and it's loaded with options.
Yeah.
That aren't common with the pickup truck. It's got cruise control, it's got power window. It's one of these things that somebody was building a cowboy Cadillac out of it. When they ordered the truck, and had all the and it's been really fun watching him or talking to him about when he's trying to get parts, because like the cruise control came off of, when we broke down the numbers. It's off of a LTD, because when you look at it for the truck, they don't have a listing for that because, that wasn't a norm,
Right.
It wasn't, but trying to track down and define parts for everything, it's pretty weird. But like he was up at Carlisle, last year, and he got really lucky because he was able to find like a lot of the stainless steel trim, because this thing was trimmed out, and I guess if he ever gets it back together, really, it's going to be something really different, because at that vintage of truck, they just didn't have them like that, So it's kind of interesting.
So, Brian, just to change gears, to switch over to tools for a minute, I think it was in one of the Matco emails this week. It was like the end of summer stuff, like the summer clearance at Matco, I think.
Yep.
But two things caught my eye that I got to ask you about. It was MTC Shot 2 shot glasses.
Oh.
And MTC lighter, which is a really cool Matco Zippo lighter.
Which Zippo lighter was that? I got like 3 on order I haven't gotten. Was it the 10 millimeter or was it which one was it?
No, I think it just had the big Matco logo on the front of the lighter.
I haven't seen that one.
It was the Zippo stuff. Yeah, MTC lighter is the part number. the great Matco part number filing system
Oh, yeah.
conundrums. Right? It's just a regular logo on there, right?
Yeah, it's the windproof.
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 I need that.
It's chrome. Just that was it right there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, the way I like it.
I don't know if I have that one on order or not.
You will now.
We had the one with the 10 millimeter socket on it, something lost or you found it or something. And can't remember what the other one was. I don't know if that one was with the ghost flames.
Oh, yeah. See, I like, as you know, clear, clean product placement logo. That's why when I got into the BMW motorcycles, I came from Harley Davidson, where everything was, Harley puts their brand on everything.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to BMW, and I'm like, I want to buy a couple shirts. And what they sell? Like a black shirt with a half black BMW motorcycle logo. I'm like, half black? How about like silver or white, or make it stand out, man?
Yeah.
Or they'll sell like, a gray shirt with a gray, like it's color on color. I'm like, you guys, come on, punch it up a little bit,
What was the other part number?
MTC Shot 2. They were black shot glasses. I think it just said Matco on them.
MTC Shot. It doesn't come up.
Really?
I'll have to. Well, we all know how the app works.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, I still can't log in.
Really?
Yeah. You know what? Let me see. I'll try it right now. Let me go to my app. I have it downloaded on the phone. Okay, sign in. It won't even let. Okay, sign in. See, it asks a phone number or email, and I don't remember how I set it up originally. So, I mean, it's on my phone, so you should know the phone number. Now, let me see something here. Let's verify. How do I not have that here?
Yeah, it didn't come up.
Okay, here we go. It's
the only ones that came up was the Harley Davidson ones.
Yeah, email or phone number is not valid.
Well, the whole app thing drives me crazy because I got like, I don't know, I got like 5 or 6, and I got it's either if I have their phone number in there, if I have their phone number listed, it only shows their email address. And if I have their email, it only shows the phone, so I can't connect them. I've almost given up on that stuff.
I have a password. I didn't write down like how I set it up with an email address. That means I probably wasn't asked when I set it up. The password is good, so that works, but it won't. Phone number or email address isn't working. And what I tried doing was just making a new account, making a new one, and it said no, that information already exists in the system. So See, now I'm going to try and make an account. I'll try and register.
I forgot Loctite.
Ah. Okay. Now put me to distributor phone number.
301.
I don't know if it wants a 1. Yeah, 301
219
219.
7875.
Okay. Next. Is this you? Yes, it is. Is this your distributor? Yes, it did. Now there's you. There's you. There's my okay. And it came up with your email address at Verizon. So that's you. In order to secure your account, we need to send you an activation code, a text. A text message was just sent to my email address. How freaking smart is that? So I'm not going to get that code, obviously. Because it says a text with an activation code was just sent to your email address. Like, no. Can't send a text to an email address.
Huh. I wonder if you popped on. Hold on, let me check my screen.
Resend code. I wonder if I can back up. Yeah. It's asking me, it has my email address and your name and number. It doesn't ask me for a number. All right, I'm going to back up. I'm backing through the thing. Instead of an email address, I'm putting my cell phone number in. And it says, warning, your account is already registered.
Yeah, I have you in here. You're only in here under your phone number, even though I have your email in here. It hasn't hooked to your email yet.
Please proceed to the login page. And the login page has the email address, not the phone number. You know, it may be one of those things that you just can't get through without the IT guy.
I don't know. I haven't, like I said, I don't understand why some of them come through.
Now, I think it logged me in because it took me to, your distributor. It's got your name and your phone number. And now I'm looking at a Matco at a catalog page. So I think it finally got me back in again.
Yeah. I just called in. And there you are. Now, see, now I have a pending registration for you. And the first time I did this, I have your phone number. Now I have your email, the Ray at NCC.
Yeah.
Yep. So now I have to go. Now, if I go in and I can set it up. But I think that's funny how I don't have that. That's not my email with you.
It's the Verizon. They put your Verizon email address here. On my page, what I see is the Verizon email.
Yeah.
Yeah, no results for MTC shot 2. That's odd. Need help? Contact Brian McKinney. Call or text.
So here, when we get done here, I'll have to go in, and I'm gonna have to go in and so you'll be re-registered. I have to.
Okay, good.
Do that again. That's crazy.
Well, at least we finally got somewhere. Now I see what it was. They were looking to. So the other day I was looking for. I was working on a car. I had a pair of pliers to take the plastic rivets out of the fender wells. And I came and I found these pliers too.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell are these for? I couldn't for like a day. I'm walking like, what were these for? I know I got them. So these aren't. And then I realized these are for like.
Those center pin, the center round piece out.
These are for like evap connectors. This will get in there.
Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah. That.
I actually found these on the map. There's no name on them. There's a part number, and I googled the part number. And it comes up with a Lyle It goes back to Lyle, but doesn't say Lyle Tools anywhere on here.
No.
So I don't know if it's a Lyle or if it's an off brand. I don't know.
No, they don't have any. They don't have any number on them.
Well, this has a number, but it doesn't.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have a name.
Yeah, it says warning discharge system.
Yep.
It actually is printed on there. Warning discharge system. So I'm thinking, what were they for AC connectors or like? Why do I have these? So
yeah, it's for those fuel connectors.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So yeah, like I said, I pulled the trigger on that lift. I decided the other day, I said, you know what, that's it. I'm just doing it. And I was playing tag with this guy who was calling me back, and I kept calling him, missing him, and then we finally connected one day, and I said, dude, I was ready to call back and get somebody else on the line and just say, hey, will you take my order? I want to spend money. And
yeah.
But
I was actually just going to ask that if you pulled the trigger on that lift yet.
Yes. and I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that the Quick Jack is made by Bend Pack.
Yeah, I heard that last week. You were saying that.
So yeah, I mean, there's a name you can trust in all day long. I mean, that's
yeah.
So yeah, I checked. It's in transit from. The last I checked, it was in Wyoming. Let me see.
Wow.
I wonder where it is now. Let me see. If I go into the other mail account, we can check. It's coming FedEx ground. Now they can't retrieve it. Sometimes you go on there and they can't give you the info. Sometimes they can.
Yeah.
It's like the Matco tool site.
It hasn't been updated. I mean, it probably hasn't been scanned by anybody.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, earlier in the day, I was able to look and saw that it was in. It left California. It went to another location in California. That went to Wyoming this morning.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Whatever. We'll see.
That's yeah. Like I said, I think that's it's going bigger. I mean, I don't think that's really an overkill, but like I said. It's just far better.
Well, it'll do 37 inches high. You know what I did? I went out and I measured the FJ. I measured from the bottom of the frame rail to the ground, and it's 13 inches. So I said, if I got to raise this lift 13 inches just to contact that truck, and then I'm only going to have another, the other one only went to 31. So I'm going to have, 20-something inches. I said, then I saw that, and that's why the 5,000 was on sale. It said, while quantities last. They're trying to clearance out their last 50 of them.
Yeah. Is that how many they had left?
That's what he said. Yeah, he told me I had 50. So I said this one, and then a lot of people like dealing with me, I guess, because he says, "Well, you want the lift?" I'm like, "Listen, dude," I said, "We're not done." I said, "I want the whole package." What do you mean? I said, "Well, you got a whole package that goes with it." I said, "You got the pinch weld blocks, you got the wall hangers, even though I'm not gonna be able to hang them on the wall." I said, "And you got the truck adapters." I said, "I want it all. Send it all." He's like, "Wow, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, really." I said, "Too many times have I bought something and tried to save a little money and said, oh, I'll get that stuff later.
Yeah.
It's not available, or it's not in stock, or they don't have it anymore. No, I want everything from the start."
Yeah, I tell people I can't tell you how many times a day when somebody comes out to the truck and they're doing the soda can kick around the truck, and I'm like, "Look, dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I have everything in right now for it, and two, you have no idea. It could be as little as 2 months or a year later, something's not going to be made anymore, or discontinued, or not. There was a lack of sales, so they did away or whatever." And I said, "Dude, I don't want to hear it, because you're going to come back and say, hey, I need this, and I'm not going to be able to get it or find it."
I just got Matco Tools verifications to my email address. They sent me your verification token. They sent me the number.
Oh yeah.
So I guess they figured out their bot figured out that it couldn't be texted; it had to be emailed. That's pretty cool. So anyway, I did. So Isaac, let me ask you. Well, we got you on the line here.
Yes,
Since
sir.
you've obviously been following the shows, what's your, I don't know, just what are your thoughts? Like, I don't want to put you on the spot either, but like, I know when I watch shows, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube and a lot of things. There's always like things I like, things I don't like, people I like, people I don't like. What are your thoughts about like what we're doing? Because
I really enjoy it. I really do, because when you got everybody on, Terry comes on, the little bit of banter back and forth, Ford versus Chevy, and
55 versus 56.
Yes.
We haven't even asked you what your flavor of ice cream there is.
Right.
Rocky Road.
Well, I'm talking about between the tri-fives now. Come on.
Tri-5 Chevys.
Oh, which is the one that has the is it the 56 or 55 that has the round knobby on the back of the light?
56.
That would be the one that
That's Terry's year.
Oh my God!
I like them both.
How do we control this thing to turn this guy off?
Right.
Well, I'll tell you though, if you watch Arco's video from his car show, there's this guy with a white over black 56. The car is dropped. It's got huge meats. The car is tubbed. And this looks like the 2,000 horsepower car. This thing looks so cool, dropped and tubbed. It is a good looking car. You kind of forget it's a 56.
Yeah. I really, and again, that little thing on the taillight is what catches my attention. But realistically, I wouldn't say no to either one.
You mean,
it
looks like this?
Yes.
And it does. Get out of there. It does this.
Yes.
So that's how you get to the gas door.
Yeah.
Graphic details here. We like to.
But there's not. I won't say there's there's not any cars I don't like, because there's definitely going to be one out there that I'm like, yeah, I can appreciate a person that likes it, but
sure,
almost every car I like. And then the ones that I don't, like I said, I can really appreciate, somebody that's enthusiastic and just, really into it.
There's room for everybody in this hobby.
Exactly. And that's the other thing I like about this show is that statement right there comes up all the time. The different people you've had on that you've interviewed. Actually, just the other day, I forget what I was doing, but I was like, I want to listen to something. So I pulled up YouTube, and it was the one, gosh, I don't know how many years ago this was, but it was the one that you guys interviewed Kev Dog from
That's a while ago,
yeah, it was a while ago.
I just had a blast listening to it. I enjoyed the after show. You guys talk about music, a little bit of politics, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, your meatball sub sandwiches or whatnot, the different thing. And then when you're talking about the Brian would talk about, and I don't remember the place you said, but you were talking about, and you've done it numerous times, on your route, you'd stop by a certain place and they knew exactly, they'd see you coming.
All my delis that I go to.
Yeah. And then Ray would talk about his, and I'm like, it's just awesome. So there's so much involved with the show that I really enjoy.
I'm glad to hear that, because I've heard it, with the radio show. Obviously, that's only an hour at a clip. But I've heard people actually tell me, hey, you know what? You guys got to stop talking about food, or don't talk about this. I want to hear about cars, or I don't want to hear about this. I want to, everybody's got their taste, and I understand that. And then I say, well, listen, dude, respectfully, I listen to what you're saying, and I take it to heart. I said, but I think I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Well, why? Yeah. Why wouldn't you want to, listen to, I said, because you're one person. I said, and your opinion counts. It does. I said, but it's good to be king. And we do what we. I said, I don't think we're offending anybody. I said, so I think the diversion. I've always told people this show is a bigger version of the radio show because it's longer and there's more people. But I said it's just like when we talk when I'm trying to land a guest, and they're a little apprehensive about coming on. They're like, oh, what are we going to talk about? Like, you kidding me? I saw what you built, or I know what you do. This is what we're going to talk about. Oh, but yeah, that's not going to let. I'm like, yes, it will. I said, what you don't understand is our conversation is going to be just like we have it if we're in the shop or in the garage or on the front porch. I said, you just got to watch your language a little more. On this show, you really don't have to. But I said, radio, you got to watch your language and be maybe a little sensitive about what you say. You don't want to offend anybody or be ultra nutty about anything. I said, that's kind of my rule. That's really not anybody else's rule. I said, and that's it. We're just going to talk like I've been on the phone with people for 30 minutes, 40 minutes trying to pitch them to come on the radio show. And then they'll say, all right, well, listen, it was great talking with you. I could talk for another hour, but what are we going to talk about on the show? I'll tell them, dude, we just did a show.
Yeah.
We just did it. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to ask you the same questions. You're going to say the same things to me. I said, that's how we're going to do it. Wow. Is it that easy? I was like, yeah, it really is that easy.
And to be honest with you, coming on, when Lewis first messaged me and said, hey, come on the show and ask the guys. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be home when you start. Cause I said, I coach and it depends on how soon I can get out. And I said, but I would like to, not just to have the question answered, but I wouldn't mind being on the show. But I was like, then I started getting nervous, but it was awesome. It's no different than what I've listened to and watched, and I felt comfortable, and it's just awesome. To me, this show is very much all American.
Yeah.
Everybody's the little bit of differences, a little difference in taste from different parts of the country. To me, it's an all-American show. We talk cars, now I'm on, but you guys talk cars, we talk cars, music, like I said, delis, you're the deli that you go to and whatnot. And it's, to me, it's all American. It's actually, if people want to say, well, America's horrible, or, all the stuff that we've seen going on for the last few years or whatever, this is a perfect example to me of all American, and America is not horrible.
Right.
Like you said, because we cover the spectrum, and like I said, right down to a Hot Wheels or playing a drum set, or however you go about. It's just a bunch of guys, like Ray said it a dozen times, and we've all said it. It's just like a bunch of guys all sitting in a shop someplace, back and forth talking.
It's funny, Brian. A number of years ago, when Chris and I were in the studio together, he would introduce me and say, "Hey, we got Ray sitting across the shop bench," and we had people thinking we were actually in the shop. Because we're doing radio, so they couldn't see us. Like, hey, where's the shop? Like, what? Well, yeah, Chris always says across the shop bench. I'm like, no, that's just like a euphemism. That's just a term. Like, the counter it's the shop bench, because wherever we are is where our shop is. We bring it with us. But, people thought we were actually in a shop across the bench. Like, no, it's so again, it's just you're right. You take it with you wherever you go. You could be anywhere, and that's just reminded me. I had to use a 3/8 impact gun that I had at the shop yesterday, and it's a snap-on gun. It's an older one, and I forgot that no socket. The ring must be missing, because every socket you put on just flies off the freaking thing. I was like, oh, what a pain in the ass! So you just reminded me of I got to fix that thing. I got to see if put a ring on the anvil.
Yeah, just check to make sure the anvil's not worn.
Probably is. I mean,
the end of the anvil, I don't have one here to show you. A little show and tell. Maybe next week I'll make sure I have one. But the end of the socket, or end of the square, and then it's square and it comes out to be a round button, and you want to make sure that round button hasn't taken shape of the square.
Oh.
Because then if you put a new ring on it, it's just going to come off again, because it has to. It's It's like the square peg going in a round hole. That's what keeps it from all together.
Are the anvils kind of universal?
No, they're different, and
so there may be no chance of getting the correct anvil for this thing if it's
it depends on because you have this guy that has like these 55-gallon barrels full of old ones laying around.
Yeah, but to get to the bottom of a 55-gallon barrel is no joy.
Well, it depends on which gun it is,
unless it's a barrel of rice pudding.
Yeah, well. So, but a lot of times you could take a file. I take a file and I reshape them, and that buys you some time on that.
I mean, this gun is definitely, it was my brother's, so I know it's from the 80s.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, is it like, I don't, actually, I just have, I mean, I just cleaned up a whole bunch. Again, that was I found a pile of impacts that were under the Mustang. I mean, that's
really,
I mean, yeah. I've got shit laying like everywhere. It's unbelievable. I found a whole bunch of stuff. They're all on the other side, but I'll have to make sure I have an anvil here, and I can show you what you need.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I have a picture of that gun in my collection. I don't know. That's not it. Oh, that's my real old one. My old Blue Point.
Speaking of guns, I got a kick out of it. Gosh, it's probably been a month or two now, but Ray, you were talking about you had a certain, what was it, an air hammer or something like that? You had it on a bench and a lady thought it was a gun.
Oh, yeah.
I got a kick out of that.
I know. That's a funny one.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who don't know just really don't. You can't blame them,
No.
Well, it's funny because I'll say, I've done it before. I'll say, I've got 3 or 4, guns that I had to rebuild tonight, and people look at you like, what are you rebuilding guns for? And it's like a half-inch air impacts, and it's kind of funny.
I tell you a funny story.
They're only single shot. I need to make them fully auto. I need to mow everybody down.
The half-inch gun that I bought from you, Brian, I forget what the model number is, but that's a phenomenal gun. Phenomenal. Uh-huh. So one of the guys from the other shop was working in where I'm at, in my place last week. And he had a bunch of Snap-on battery powered stuff, but he had a brand new Matco half-inch drive impact in green. And he says, just see what I got. I'm like, wow. I'm like, why do you? I said, okay. I said, I see you throwing in for all the expensive battery stuff. What made you buy that? Well, the Snap-on dealer that's on our route, he got it. He took it off a customer, bought it off a customer. The customer didn't like it for some reason. He wanted a Snap-on gun. So he took it in trade, and he sold it to this kid for $200.
Wow.
And it's like brand. And I said, do you know that's like a $500 gun, man?
Yeah.
I'm like, Bill is an idiot. The Snap-on guy said, if he wasn't even smart enough to, how could he not know? I mean, anybody's comparable gun has to be around the same amount of money.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times they do that because their mentality or their idea when they do that is they're devaluing, like, well, that gun's really not worth anything, $200.
Great.
And
good idea.
Yeah, well, that's their mentality. Oh, and of course, then you can also say, well, if the guy has a problem with it, he's going to go back. He's going to say, well, I don't know, that gun was junk, or
I sold it to him, obviously, yeah. But I said to him, hey, dude, I said, take care of this thing, oil it once in a while, you're going to love it. It's a powerhouse. Isaac, what's your do you fall into our group of like tool fetishes, and do you have favorites and not favorite types of tools, or you just use whatever you get your hands on?
Whatever I get my hands on and whatever works.
Yeah.
I mean, when you guys talk tools, I can completely respect it. And honestly, there's some stuff you guys have talked about where I'm like, oh, I didn't know that, or so. but no, I'm whatever works. Like, well, speaking of like welders, I picked up one of those Harbor Freight welders because I just needed to do a little bit of work. And when my dad passed, I ended up inheriting a big Miller MIG.
Wow, nice.
I just have to what I have to do is I have to figure out running some 220 line so I can have a plug in my carport and maybe one on the back porch where I have room, where I can really hook it up and weld.
What I have an old Snap-on machine, which I don't consider to be the greatest, but we got a Miller at the shop. And when I use that one, I instantly become a much better welder. Yeah. It's just a machine. And I heard the Harbor Freight, the Vulcans, I heard some good things about them. Yeah. I've never used one. But the one thing, the guy that came down to help me out with this truck yesterday, we were gas cutting, oxyacetylene cutting. And he was saying, we were talking about just welders in general. He says, the one thing you should never, ever buy from Harbor Freight is gas welding equipment. Because he said he just bought a new set of hoses for his welding rig, and the hose blew up on him. It just it was brand new. He goes, I'd stay away from the gas welding stuff.
Yeah.
But
well, I used mine. In fact, I think when I got it, so one of the things I did was on the Porsche, the fuel lines go through their neoprene, and they go through the center tunnel through the cabin, and after they start to wear, you start getting the smell of fuel and everything. Right. So I went ahead and got me some stainless lines, went underneath. I made my own subframe connector to because it's got that target top, and I put it up on the ends, put weight on it to try to pull it up, and made up my own subframe connectors, so to speak. And I ran the fuel lines right next to the connectors. There's more work I want to do with that, but where the line comes out, how the tank sits on the underneath, I needed the line. How did I do it? Oh, I remember what I did. I put the fuel. So the original fuel pump on that year was next to the engine, and they fail from the heat from the engine. So I started looking up the, I think it was the 911 and the BMW to figure out a part number. And I got the Bosch one for the 911, and I put it in the front part of the trunk, but I needed to set it up for the line to come forward into the trunk. And what I did was I cut out a sliver of metal, and then I got some tubing and sliced that in half, and then rolled it. So with the tubing, it's got that roll in it, so I'd have the clearance, and then I just welded it in. Nice. Right in.
That car is set up similar to my Fiat Spider. Mm-hmm. The fuel lines come through the cabin. Mine come through on the left side, not on the tunnel. I had the same problem. When I got the car, I was smelling some fuel, and I had to do some repair. It's funny the way they did stuff with a lot of those cars. And Brian, to talk about something we were talking about a while ago, we were talking about AN fittings last week. I did a little more research, and I found out one of the things that you want to. It was actually Chris Fix, I think, on YouTube, who was talking about it. He did a video about it. And he said the rule he always follows is don't buy cheap fittings, obviously, but whoever's fittings you buy their hose. Yeah. Because he was talking about using the neoprene inside sleeve hose for fuel. And you use that for anything, brake, fuel, coolant, whatever you want. And he said, but he threw out a name. I had heard it, but I don't remember it. He says, don't use that hose with Earl's fittings. He goes, you're probably going to have a leak. He says, keep it. Now, I don't know why. He was saying, obviously, the manufacturers must have a different manufacturing tolerance. I would think that stuff would be fairly standardized. Yeah. But that was just a tip that he passed on, and I guess I'll follow that. I'll buy everything because when I do this sniper, I'm going to have to redo the fuel system. So
Yeah.
Well, it's funny where you, like you said, where you want to stick with the same company and whatnot. So with it, and this is kind of pertains kind of off subject, but my my S10 Blazer, it's a 95, and it would stall out like the Honda, except for it would start acting funny. And I could tell by the temp gauge, especially in the summers when it would happen, I could tell by the temp gauge when I would start to have a problem. And basically it was vapor locking.
oh yeah.
And I found out the hard way that if you go to O'Reilly or one of those and pick up a fuel pump, they'll work for a little bit, but I was getting anywhere 3 to 6 months and it would start acting up. Sometimes I might get a year. And then I started looking at, a buddy told me, you know, you got to go with an AC Delco. He said, he goes, now you can take a Camaro or a Firebird that uses the same fuel pump and use the one from O'Reilly or AutoZone or whatever, it'd be fine. But for whatever reason, and it has to do with the ohms being just slightly off. And I believed him. He's pretty knowledgeable, but I started looking it up, Googling it, and I found it on several forums that's a common issue, that you want to go with AC Delco. And there, in certain Fords, you got to use Motorcraft.
Yeah.
You know, on
it's
stuff
also
like
interesting when you see what aftermarket companies use. This is an in-tank sending unit with a fuel pump that goes to a Holly Sniper. This is for a 55 Chevy. This is internally regulated, and it's a bypass system. I looked at the pump. I was curious. It's a Walbro pump, which I've seen 1,000 times. I was curious who they spec'd out. I was expecting to see Bosch or Delco, but it's a Walbro. I'm like, all right. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this because it doesn't fit my car. I had to order another one for like almost $300.
I've heard.
Why won't that fit your car? Is it just a different hookup?
These are application specific. So this is made for a 55 Chevy.
Oh.
So my sender unit goes in the back of my tank.
Oh.
Kind of like this, and then it would have to drop down. So I guess this may go in. I don't know. It probably goes in on the side, I think. So, but they give you a different separate part number and all. So if anybody's building a 55 with a Sniper, I have an in-tank unit for you. More junk to collect. Parts I can't use. But
just hook it to the bird bath and make a fountain.
Yeah, right. Well, 58 psi bird bath. That would be pretty cool. Whoa!
Exactly.
We're gonna take care of that bird real quick. Open up, baby.
The guy one of the guys at the shop, he was just telling me how he lives down in the Rockaways, down by the ocean, and he was saying he has automatic sprinklers, but he said there was what the hell was it? I think I was telling him that something's been digging up the tulip bulbs out of my front yard. I don't know if it's a squirrel or what, but he says, yeah. He goes, he had, I forget what it was. It was in his yard that some animals were grabbing at night and eating. Might have been the same thing, but he said somebody turned them on to. He says you get this sprinkler head, and it's like motion activated.
Oh my
and
God.
it only goes for 5 seconds. So he brought it up on his camera. He goes, look, I'm going to turn on my sprinkler. And he did. He says, and then he can test that one. He goes, so there was this, it was a cat because he caught it on video. So after he put that in, the cat walked up one night, the sprinkler went off, 5 seconds, and the cat was gone. He says, yeah, the cat hasn't come back. It's like, they don't like getting wet. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
When I was younger, much younger, and I delivered the Washington Star. It was an afternoon paper, and it was the rival next to the Post, but in the afternoon. And but Sunday morning was a Sunday paper, and early morning. So the guy would come down and drop the bundle off at the end of the driveway, and up the street was this hound dog, Barney, and he would come down before I would get up to get the paper, and he would take a leak on the papers.
Oh.
And so this went on, and of course it was the big mystery, and I had to get up early one day, you know, find out what was going on and so forth. And, you know, so I see Barney taking a leak on the papers. So, of course, you know, I go up and talk to the guy, and, you know, tells me to hit the road, kid, and whatever.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I want to get this dog. We're gonna take it, we're gonna fix this. So I filled up a squirt gun with ammonia.
Ooh.
And I hid in the bushes so that when the dog came down to take a leak, I squirted him on his privates with and on the backside of him, and the dog was howling all the way up the street, dragging his ass on the road. You know,
he was looking for a sprinkler.
So unfortunately, till the day that dog died, the dog would walk down on my side of the street, and then when it got to my mailbox, it went across the street and then walked and never touched the papers again. So,
you know, I have a funny tie-in. To that story. I used to deliver the Long Island Press, which was an afternoon paper. And again, it was a centerfold like the Times. It was a big paper. So after years of being a carrier, when I got older, the guy who was the manager of the place said, "Hey, how'd you like to work with me on Saturday night?" I'm like, "Saturday night? Doing what?" He goes, "Well, I got to take all the bundles of papers and drop them at the carrier's houses for Sunday morning."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's how I got those papers on Sunday?" So I said, "Okay." So he had a Vega wagon. He was this old guy. Harry was his name. And it was a Vega wagon with a 4-speed. And I'd sit in the back with the hatch open. And it was cool. In the summer, I brought a radio with me. I had all the, you know, and you're out there at like 2, 3 in the morning. Everything's dead quiet. It was cool. Yeah. So I finally asked after a while if I could have a friend come in and help me. And so I brought my best friend Tom with me, guy that owned the 55 Nomad that I have. And we went through, like, now it became winter. We would like skitch off the back of the car in the winter, hanging on to, that's when you hang on to the bumper, Isaac, and you just kind of use your feet on the ice and snow like you ski.
Yeah.
And we got into all sorts of trouble. I told you some of the stories, but that was my I was the guy dropping off those papers.
Yeah. Man, I would have to call, you know, of course I would call and you know, I'd say, "Oh, you know, my papers got pissed on," and the guy would have to come back, you know, and I was always late because you know, he'd make his rounds and come back and drop the papers. And
he did it in the morning. We did it like in the
overnight. Yeah, this was like about 4:00 in the morning, 3:30, 4:00 in the morning, that the papers would be dropped off. And of course, I was towards the end of the run, or beginning of the run. So he would have to run and do everybody and then come back around. So I'd get the papers like, you know, 8:00, 8:30. And then I'd load up my bike and I would go. And of course I had a few people say, well, you know, I'd show up, you know, 9:30 or whatever. And of course, you know, that's late, you know.
I want my paper when I want to read the call. When coffee's ready. I want that.
When you got the coffee,
yeah, you know. So a few of those people would be kind of crappy, and of course I'd say, "Well, I'm sorry, you know, some dog pissed on the papers. I mean, do you want one wet or do you want one dry? I mean, you know."
It was kind of funny because after a while you start changing what you're doing. Instead of having Harry drop us off at my house at home, we had him like drop me off on Main Street in town. Like, why? What's going on there? It's 4 in the morning. No, man, we're going to the diner. Yeah. So we go to the diner at 4. And Isaac, until you've had New York or East Coast diner food, you haven't lived, brother.
Yeah.
So we go to that diner first early in the morning. I don't know if we were getting burgers or eggs on bread. I don't even know what we were getting, but it was good.
See, my sister has traveled. She's traveled out that way. She's been to New York and whatnot. she's trying to get all 50 states, and she's actually traveled. Gosh, she's gone to Germany, Poland,
Wow,
Great Britain, stuff like that.
nice.
But yeah, she's traveled quite a bit. The hard part is since the shutdowns, and even a little bit prior before that, we'll just say, to keep it, I hate PC. To me, PC is BS, but we'll just say with the prior administration and everybody losing their mind, it's like certain states that I wanted to travel to, it's like I'd have to have a real good reason.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I do want to see the states. I'd like to see where you guys are and whatnot, but it's like some of this stuff's got to cool down.
But I'll say this: I'm not a world traveler. I haven't been to all 50 states. I haven't been to many, but New York, in the city, New York City is it's highly Democratic, very Democratic. Where I am on Long Island, we're kind of mixed. I mean, even the town I'm in, there's a pretty big Democratic portion, but there's a big Republican portion too. So around here, like, it doesn't really come into play. In the city, it's almost like you can tell by looking at somebody.
Yeah,
what their affiliation is. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean.
Where they walk, what they're carrying. Out here in the suburbs, not so much. And then if you go upstate, like I always tell people, if you go north of the city in New York, there's a huge state. We go up to Canada, and you would never think you're in New York. You think you're in. Yeah. I mean, we have mountains, there's lakes, there's country, there's farms, there's everything. It's you could think you're in the Midwest. So I say, don't let that stop you. Like even California, we know all the craziness that they're going through out there.
Well, yeah, that one's hard too, because I've got family in California. San Diego is actually one of my favorite cities. I love to go to the beach there.
California's a beautiful state.
But man, this last couple years, I was like, I feel sorry for my cousins and stuff. My son actually, one of my sons, he actually went to Disneyland with his girlfriend, and I was like, you want to wait till things cool down even more? And I mean, for the most part, it's kind of cooled down, but I'm like, and he goes, nah, I just want to go. And I'm like, well, have fun and be careful.
Yeah.
My daughter went with her boyfriend too, probably about a year or two ago. And, same thing, mask everywhere. And see here, I mean, we went through in the city I live in, it's I'm on the outskirts, kind of the outskirts of the city, but where I'm at, they were kind of stringent. The rough part is they were stringent in the city of Tucson about the mask mandates. And then the county, we were hoping, okay, the county will leave it, you do you, we'll do us. And what happened, it was a domino effect. They're like, well, we don't want to make them look bad, so we'll just follow suit.
Yeah.
And most of the little cities that are all adjacent right here kind of all followed suit to not piss each other off.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have. And it would have been a you do you, we'll do us. And but then finally and see the city, the same thing when you're in the city of Tucson, it's kind of blue. If you look at the state, Tucson is more blue than the rest of the state, I think. But then there's certain the cities that surround it. It's like you were saying, there's a lot of conservatives or Republicans.
It's purple. You get purple. Blending. Well, like I said, I guess my point is, if you go to a city, even if you go to a city who's 100% opposite of whatever your proclivity is, whatever it is, you're not going to be meeting with the public leaders and the mayor, and you're not going to be meeting with the people who are you're just going to be on vacation. You're going to be doing your thing. Yeah. There may be a shopkeeper, or you may see a little something, but that should never stop you from going and having a good time somewhere, because you should enjoy that, whatever the nature, whatever it brings, that you'd enjoy, whether it's the scenery or the food or whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, you're not going to live there, and you're not going to debate somebody. So
I agree.
I look at it.
I agree.
And I'm looking to relocate down south, to North Carolina probably, and you know, we have an idea of where we're looking to go, but now you have that whole Southern charm thing, and a couple of years ago we were down in Tennessee, my wife and I, and we went to a store. I remember it was kind of a almost like a, I remember it'd be like a big hardware store. And I asked the guy for something. He says, "Oh yeah, it's in the back. Follow me." So me and my wife take off. We follow the guy through the store. Now, of course, you're double timing it.
Yeah.
And I remember there was some woman, 30-year-old, whatever, was coming through, and I saw her and nodded, and then we got to where we were going, and the guy stopped, and he gave me this look. I'm like, "What? What did I do? I break something?" He's like, "No. I guess you didn't catch what happened back there." I'm like, "What? Back where?" I said, I'm sorry. I must have missed something. What did I miss? I was following you. What did I do wrong?" He goes, "Oh, well, when that woman was coming by, you just kept going." He says, "Down here, men will stop and let women cross in front of them." I was like, "Wow, really?" I said, "I wasn't trying to be a boob or a bore." I said, "I was just on a mission following you. Where I come from, I'm on a mission. I'm going, man. I'm dropping the bombs."
Yeah.
But I took that to heart. And later in the day, I was in a gas station or a 7-Eleven, gas station. I was going to leave, and a woman was coming, and I stopped and let her go. And she was like, "Oh, thank you." I'm like, "No, thank you. Go right ahead." And I said, if I have to adapt in that way, that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
We need more manners. We need more civility. We need more niceness in this country instead of everybody up here, especially in New York. I mean, Brian will tell you, his brother's up here. You get into some places like you put your war face on. I always say you got your city face. It's like, but now with these mutts up here, you go staring them down, they're going to pull out a gun and they're going to shoot you. And the kid's 13, So the game has changed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I said, no, if that's what it means to assimilate, I said, I have no problem assimilating with a tradition like that. I said, don't make me bow to Allah or raise your flag. Let's not get crazy here. Don't make me become a Jehovah's Witness or any other religion. I said, I need freedom of choice in that regard. But to be civil to somebody, to let a woman go by, to hold the door. I hold doors for people now.
Same here.
I have no problem with that. So
same here. Yeah, I did notice when we were in South Carolina and Georgia, that the Bible Belt type of the manners, and I enjoyed it. The funny thing is I kind of fit in the sense that somewhere along the lines, I have an aunt that lives in Texas, and somewhere along the lines when she came to visit, I picked up a little bit of a twang and I say y'all.
Yeah.
When I'm coaching the kids and I say strap your helmet on, and I get teased at the way I say helmet or help, I'll help you, and especially when I get excited or agitated, it comes out that much deeper. It's like I said with my wife with the New York accent,
right?
And she picked that up from her dad. The accent, it when she gets worked up, it comes out. Well, with me, it's like a Southern accent, and I get people asking me what, especially when we were down there in Georgia and whatnot. They said, where y'all from? And I said, we're from Arizona. And she goes, "Oh, y'all talk like this?" And I said, "No, just me." And I'm like, I picked it up from somewhere. And
it's funny because we have a friend on this show, Vince, and he just texted me a little while ago. He was listening in, but Vince is from Georgia, and now he lives in South Carolina, and he has a decidedly Georgia accent. And we were talking on the phone one day, and I mentioned it. I said something about how, as soon as I heard your message, I can't miss you, because he always talks about our accent up here and all. And I said, "Yeah, Vince, I couldn't miss that accent." And then, without missing a beat, he says, "No, Ray, you don't understand. This is how I really sound." And then he started talking with his real accent, and I held the phone and said, "Huh? Who is this?" Like, it was so much thicker and drawier. I was like, wow. It's like, Man, it threw me for a loop. I was very surprised because it was, I mean, enough to convince me already. Like, this guy's from the South. There's no hiding it. So it's funny. Yeah, accents are a funny thing.
But yeah, I really enjoyed down there where, just that level of mannerisms, respect and I'm real big when I work with the kids, teaching them to give a proper handshake and, respond with yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. It's just, it's gone away in our society across the board.
And especially with sports, show professionalism, show sportsmanship. You congratulate your opponent when they win and when they lose.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, years ago when my kids were small, we were out front playing in the street, doing something. And there was, I don't know, some trash in the street. And I went and I picked it up. And my old daughter says, "Wow, Dad, what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, there was some garbage in the street. I'm picking this up." She goes, "Why? That's garbage. It's dirty." I'm like, "Well, it's not that dirty. So if you see what my hands get involved in, this isn't dirty." I said, "But no, what you don't understand," I said, "is this is by our house where we live. And somebody threw it out of a car or left it or whatever, or it blew here from the other street." I said, "But it's near our house." I said, "So it's our responsibility to take care of our area." I said, "If you see something by your neighbor's house, you pick that up too." And I could see she was like not getting it, but this is the best part of being a parent, and I'm sure both of you guys will agree. It was a year or so later where I heard her saying that. It was either to her younger sister or one of the other kids on the block, and I said the message got through.
Yeah.
When they repeat what you told them, that's golden.
Yeah, I agree 100%. There's certain times, certain things where I'm like, it's not getting through, and you want them to learn the best or understand the best or whatnot, teach them the best, and you're like, it's not getting through. What's wrong? And then, like you said, just a little bit later, and then it all comes back.
Right.
And you hear them. And I think part of it too is that, and I try to go back to my childhood and like, I guess that's kind of true, is, well, I don't want Dad to know that I was really listening, because in the midst of that, they're going, yeah, right, old man. Or, and my kids are, I let them get away with actually saying it to me. Yeah. So they know how to behave, and they know, there can be a little bit of banter back and forth, but they also know when it's like, hey, this ain't the time. And then they know to shape up and be respectful.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's part of that. And even looking back with myself, like, I can't let the old man know that I paid attention.
Exactly. Well, I tell you what, Isaac, you have an open invitation, of course. If you find yourself free on Sunday, you want to listen to the radio show, we're on live 12 to 1, and you can call in and talk to us on the show too. That's
on the radio show. Is that how do I pick that up?
You could just go to our website, motormouthradio.com. There's a listen live. Brian, is that still the best way to get it?
Yeah, that's the best way.
That's usually the best. That ties right in. And then you could listen live, and then don't be a stranger. Call in and be part of the fun. So
okay.
I don't have a guest lined up for this week, so I thought I was going to have one, but I didn't. So I'm going to get the guy from Holly on shortly.
Yeah,
that guy Joe Hines again. He was the guy, Brian. If you remember, he had an Instagram page called the Gremlin Shaped Object.
Right.
With underscores, and I went and just checked it again, and it's kind of dormant. I guess he hasn't been putting anything up on it, but he is a hot rodder, man. That guy does play with some cool stuff. So we'll line. And then I'm going to line somebody up from Quick Jack. I want to get them on too.
That'd be good.
They gave me a name, so I'll look into that. And,
okay, guys, I got one still floating around. I gotta try to get her on the phone. She was supposed to be home a little bit ago.
Let's put Isaac to the test. We'll see how much you really know about the show. Do you know how we end the show?
Yeah, my mind is drawing a blank, but I knew that was going to come up. Well, here's the thing. I also watch Lou's Three Lefts Don't Make a Right.
Yeah, great show.
So I've got all that, and I'm like, wait, is it the money's on the dresser, or is it don't follow me home? And
I'm like, that's it, yeah.
Which one is, you know?
That was, my partner Chris started saying that, I don't know, so many years, 15 years ago. And then when we started doing this, our good friend Chassis John, who just recently passed away, God rest his soul, he listened to the radio show. He picked up on it. So he started saying it here. So, now I bust Chris's chops about it on Sunday. And then Brian says it. And our friend Justin, who comes in, he said, so everybody gets a turn, whoever wants to do it. So,
well, and with Chassis John, like I said, I've been watching for a couple years now, and that really hit me as well. And I'm sure there's other listeners that it hit. And I actually had right after I found out, after you guys did that show that night to break the news, I actually messaged Lewis and just told him I was in shock, and tell the guys to be safe and be blessed. And I told him, I said, you guys mean a lot to me, like listening to you guys, and with Chassis John, he had kind of a soothing voice, some of the way he talked. I mean, it was just
it to be,
but I mean, each one of you guys are distinctive, and it's, and like I said, there's time when I was doing the drywall work in the bathroom, and I'm trying to balance off of a ladder in the sink, and trying not to fall off of the ladder, and nerves on edge, and I'm listening to you guys, and it it helped kind of distract me a little bit. But
it's
definitely
something
rough.
It was unforeseen, came out of nowhere, and it happens fast when you're in that kind of a situation. Unfortunately, I just still can't process it fully. That's the way it is. He meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to all of us, and it's a big loss. I told my wife today, we were sitting outside, after dinner. I said, we talked about joy, because I believe, I've always believed, you can't stop talking about the people who mean something to you, who've passed. You got to keep them in the rotation of your life. Like Brian and John knew my brother Mike, who had passed many years ago, knew him through me. And people have said to me, hey, I feel like I know your brother. Like, yeah, well, because I talk about him enough. I said, I feel I have to do that. That's it's does it still hurt? Of course it does. It never doesn't hurt, but it feels so much better to have him be a part of things, even though he's not with us to do it. And I said to my wife, I said, that's the thing with life. You never realize how big of a hole you're going to leave. And I don't think any of us really think that we're that impactful on the bigger picture. But now look at someone like John. I said, this guy left a huge hole in so many ways. That for me personally is hard to fill. I don't know how, you can't try to do it. You just have to, it is what it is. So I said, it's kind of a little life check that I think we mean more to the system around us than we give ourselves credit for. And then it lets you realize how important your friends are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So those are my words of wisdom for tonight.
Man, it's pretty deep.
So, well, that's what happens. You know that. You've been affected. So, Isaac, what do we say to the people outside waiting for us? What do we tell them when we walk out, shut the lights out, and close and walk out the door?
So, if I remember correctly, it's you can follow us on YouTube and Facebook, but don't follow us home.
That's good.
Did I get it correct?
Of it right. There's 100 variations. The original was don't follow us home, but then through this show we started making variations, and ham sandwiches and Oreos and green. They all made their way in. So it's all good. Well, Isaac, thank you for coming in, and come back next week, man. Hang out with us.
Thank you.
I love the rotation. Brian, it's
Definitely.
always a pleasure hanging with you. And for Lewis Lee, Ray Guarino, Motormouth Radio, Matt Man Brian, and now Isaac out in Arizona.
Coach Isaac.
Coach Isaac, that's right.
What he's got down there. He's got
Coach Isaac, correct.
Coach Isaac, yeah. So, but no, it was great. And you guys be safe. I got to get ready to run credit cards.
Radio.
Fun stuff.
Safe. All right, guys.
You guys take care.
See you next week.